Hey, hey, hey! Back again with another show. Chit chat show tonight. So, bits and bobs, chit about this, chit about that. Nothing too heavy. At least I don't expect it to be too heavy unless we get somebody in with something quite heavy to talk about. We don't know what's going to go on these days on these shows. Who knows who turns up and who doesn't. But anyway, we have Ian Adams who's turned up, and he was first. He beat Bill G into the house tonight. Bill G slacking again. What can I say? SE Montreal, nice to see you in. And Ian Adams, how are you doing? I've already said Ian Adams. One Burjo 7 and Cleary. Oi oi, Dr. John D, who says great video. He goes on to say the guy has revealed himself to be a complete and utter worm. I think you would be talking about Artsy Reflections there, if I'm correct. Anyway, NZ says, fucking yes, bring it on, because we love the Ranty. Hey, I hope to give you a good show this evening, guys. Brandon Toys in the house. Cat O'Tonic, how's it going? We've got Jack653653. We've got Brandon Cook, says, hello all, do not go. I appreciate this late night chatted times. I am an old guy, sleep overtakes me. There we go. Maybe have a bit of a chat with Brandon Cook there. We've got John Bernards, who's just turned up in the show channel too. Nice to see you in. Page 42 is 25th-ish. Jimbo, nice to see you in, my friend. We have Christian Kumar. We have Matrix Media. We have Bob from Glowbusters. And we also have caught up with everybody. That's awesome. We've caught up with everyone. Can't be too bad. How's it going, Bob? How's it going? Are you going to do your moderating skills this evening? Hopefully keep a nice and civil chat. Time us out when needed. Try and keep, no ad homs. We don't need the ad homs tonight. Don't need that. Right, okay, let's see, who do we have in the show channel? We have John Bernards, he was first in, and we have the Dodo Man. How's it going, guys?
Oh, fuck, you're fucked tonight, Ranty. Two nutters, John Bernards and PJ.
Hey.
That's all right. I have a mute button here, which I can use at my discretion. It's not a problem.
Okay, listen, I think it's fair enough if he gives some sort of a warning, though. A mute button should be very rarely used. And look, where are all the ballers? Where's Brenda anymore? Where's Rumpus? Where's all, there's no outsiders coming in. So we necessarily go to talking about different, more speculative areas. You know what I mean? Like the moon, bit of reflection.
Brenda was on the debate channel and showing the face with the mask.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So we can see her if someone is interested.
If that's true, that's fucking hilarious.
We're also joined by F. Evangelist. How's it going?
Morning, Ranty. Good here. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm just getting a little bit down with the idea that we might be going into lockdown again, and the idea that they may have been slowly catching up with these operations. Only if you go down to lockdown again, let's say it happens for another 4 months. I mean, my operation could be another 2 years away at this rate. It's just ridiculous. But I don't know.
What do you mean your operation?
Sorry?
What do you mean your operation?
Well, I can't work at the minute because I'm waiting on an operation, Pete.
Are you talking about your hernia operation?
Yes, I am, yeah.
Fucking hell. It's mad, isn't it? That's fucking mad. Fucking mad. There's a guy here dying of cancer and they won't even give him chemotherapy because of corona.
I know, it's bad, isn't it? And the thing is, and I appreciate this too, that it's not life-threatening. Okay, my guts are hanging out of my stomach, fair enough, but I'm not going to die from that. It just means that I can't pick anything up or do any kind of work, essentially. So, yeah, okay, so it's painful. It's not going to kill me, though, right? But I can't do my work. But so that all those other operations that are going to come in are going to they're going to get prioritised. So people with cancer, people with like a heart defect or anything like that, all of them are going to get prioritised, which, you know, it's right, because, you know, they're more prioritised. But the longer that they keep postponing this stuff and closing down the surgeries, that list just grows bigger. And I get further pushed down the list, pushed down the list, pushed down the list. And if we go into lockdown again, you know, they're never going to clear it. Like I say, it's just, I'm just getting really down at the minute, Pete.
You can scream your head off, man. Ranty, go in. What's to say that you don't go into them in the morning to the emergency department and go, I'm bollocksed all night. I feel like I'm going to die. They'll have to do something then. Scream your head off. You know, honestly, if you're not getting any results any other way, now I'm fit and healthy, right? But that's what you got to do then. But let me say this as well. Have you looked into alternative sort of treatments or maybe root causes of hernias? I don't know myself, but I would definitely look into it, man. And
well,
maybe a change of diet.
If it was a little hernia, it wouldn't be a problem. But this thing's ginormous. You know, I mean, it's like half my stomach's opened up, and I've got my guts pushing out against my flesh on the outside, because they've sort of like pushed out, and my muscles aren't able to hold them in. So they're all. I can literally put a hand on my stomach, and I can feel my guts moving. You know, your intestines. You can feel them cramping up and moving and pushing things around.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, I know.
I mean. But listen to me. The last time I was at a doctor, right, I fucking gave shit out to him because he wasn't talking about the cannabis curing cancer. I'm only there when they absolutely have to be. But I can just imagine how I'd be if I went into my doctor in that situation. That's life-threatening in a sense, man. Your whole natural way of being is distorted beyond measure. And they don't know the level of pain. So you definitely got to push it if those are the extreme circumstances. Go in and fucking wail around on the floor of the emergency department. You know?
Well, it is what it is.
Ranty. You could die during your sleep, man. If you eat something next week and that lining that's broken, the lining within the lining breaks, you're fucked then. You don't know. People can spontaneously combust, right? No, nothing's wrong with them. Next minute they're on fire. Well, what was the story with Ranty? Oh, his fucking stomach, like alien, was popping out of him.
Oh, that's funny. It is like Alien, though. To be fair, it does look. That's the funniest thing I've heard all day.
You should take a sneaky picture at some point and just put it in the chat somewhere, just so we can all see what you're talking about.
I've already put it out on my channel. It's already been showed.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I put it on. Yeah. People were going, "What the hell is that?" You know.
CGI.
I think your long-suffering nature isn't doing you any favors here. I think you ought to adopt the Pete Shea attitude and go and start shouting in the A&E department.
Well, first of all, before you do that, go in, as Paige's been talking about this, as the living man. You're not just a name and a number. So as a living man, this is your life, man. Your offspring. I know you don't have children at the minute. This sort of shit is fucking takes away the quality of your life. And we know the corona's a hoax as well. So that should get your back doubly up. Forgive this sort of fun.
Well, I don't know. It's just this, you know what I mean? Because I keep getting messages to go and, you know, can you come and do this job for me? Can you come and do this job for me? You know, and it's like I had another one today. I had another one a couple of days ago. And I'm staring at all this work thinking, you know, I mean, I want to work. Do you know what I mean? I want to get back to my decorating. I want to start earning some money. And, you know, to see these people keep messaging me, oh, you know, I need you to come and price this up for me or whatever. It's just, it's so fucking depressing.
That is desperate, man. And Ranty, if any job's going, I'm not saying that jokingly now. So actually, funny enough, my cousin is a painter decorator here in Limerick. And I don't know what's going on with all of this 2020 Corona stuff. But anything I sort of apply myself to afterwards, if I can find it in my being to accept the new normal. You know what I mean? If I'm thinking in terms of years, well, fuck it, I'll make a go of it. But yeah, that's your livelihood at stake, man. And well, in one sense, we only live once, right? Oh, do something about it. Legal name, especially. You're not a name. You're not a name. You're a living man when you go into that hospital and see how it treats you.
I don't understand as well. If you're going into lockdown, Ranty, why does that stop medical procedures? I mean, what is
Well,
the reasoning behind it? Healthcare workers, it's like them saying we're not doing operations because there's a sickness is like a fireman saying I'm not going into the house because there's a fire. That's the industry they signed up for. So that they know that they're going to be exposed to these kinds of things all day, every day. I'm not sure why are they winding back medical procedures?
I don't know. To be honest, I just don't know. I just know that the entire A&E just only allowed in coronavirus people for like 3.5 months here in Blackpool, and I think that was throughout the whole UK. It was all the only people who would allow it were people with corona. Anything else was shut down. Any surgeries, they didn't have any of that going on. And that created a backlist then. That created a backlist because all those people that were in line for an operation, well, they had to wait. And then in that 3 months, you still get people that are adding to the list, And I was one of them, but I'm not about to keel over and die. And then if they go into lockdown again, I don't know.
Who says you're not about to keel over and die, though? Is that your local doctor? Imagine I was your doctor. What would you say to me? You know what I mean? So go into your local doctor and tell him to tell whoever on the computer that this guy could keel over and die at any time. I don't know. Okay. Or get his assurance, right?
Well, SE Montreal says, have you ever thought of subcontracting the workout? Well, I have, but to be honest, I mean, I have a 5-star rating for my decorating work. My Facebook page has 5 stars. I've never had anything other than superb comments or recommendations. And
really?
Yes, really, yeah. And if I was to subcontract it out and the work isn't up to standard, now I have employed people in the past and I've had to sack them after like 5 hours because I just couldn't put up with them anymore. I mean, I'm so particular. So I don't know if I could do that. You put in your reputation.
That's not flat. That's not fucking flat.
You put in your reputation on the line. You know what I mean? And you can't do that. As much as I would, wouldn't mind getting a cut of somebody else, 10% or something, just to keep some money coming in. But for 10%, you're risking, your reputation on that, and I can't do that. Chemo, how's it going, mate? Nice to see you in.
Have you registered business, Ranty?
Yes, Chemo.
All right.
Chemo.
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening. Hey, Ranty, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good. What can we do for you this evening?
Lockdown again, just out of the blue. I heard I think Israel got 3 weeks with the possible to extend. What's the situation here? How long have we got?
Say again.
How long is the lockdown for?
Why are you asking me? I don't know. They're probably going to keep it going till bloody February or something, because that's when we've got the flu season, isn't it? So it's quite obvious that people that are going to come down with flu are going to come down with corona, aren't they?
I just can't see why people are not waking up to what's going on and why it's happening,
They are. On my Facebook, right, with my friends on Facebook, every third post or something like that is somebody moaning about coronavirus, right? Saying that it's just bollocks and they're not wearing a mask and shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, I mean, it's like when it first started off, back in March, April, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, wear your mask, clap, stand at your door, clap the NHS." Everyone's wearing the mask. Now it's everybody's like, "This is all bollocks. I don't know anybody with it." Do you know what I mean?
They reckon around 2 million people will show up this weekend in London. I don't know if it was that many, but that's what I heard. Around 2 million.
To do what? What's the purpose there, Spurs?
So it's just to go against what they're telling us about. Don't gather, don't wear your mask. So they're just going against what we've been told.
I wonder is that what they planned all along? There's a day, Spurs, you've been in this arena longer than anyone, I guess, right? So I wonder if they set it up this way to provide the opposition and then come through with their devastating plans of what ultimate destruction. This is what the Bible talks about as well. Have we been set up, Spurs? Have you considered that?
Either way, you either like lie down and die, or you go down fight. So, for me, it's happening. It's not something that's like a story. It's happening. We're in this. So, you got to make a choice. And I mean, whether they've organised a protest or not, it's still happening. So, I think we're seeing more people, like regular people, waking up than just conspiracy. So they're realising their rights. Their lives are being taken away from them. So I get what you mean. Is the whole thing been set up? Probably has, but at the same time, it's real. It's happening. It's going on. It's affecting you, me, everybody, right?
Yeah, exactly, Chemo. And the idea, I mean, you've got the coronavirus that supposedly originated in China, right? Now they've gone into a lockdown, haven't they? They've had to re-lock down, so I believe.
Again, China.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, and I mean, you just know that they're trying to do this cashless society. They're definitely trying to get that coming in. Now, my old man, I heard he went up to to Polton today to get some cash out, and there's only 3 cash machines in Polton. 2 of them. Now I know this because last time I used it, 2 of them were out of order, right? And one of them, they've changed all the programming on it so that instead of just going put your machine, your card in, and it'll instantly saying how much do you want, basically, it's changed it to, do you want 20 quid? Nah, you don't want 20 quid, right? You have to choose something else. Then it's like, okay, what service do you want? How much do you want? Blah, blah. But it's dead slow. The machine's dead slow. It's taken about 15 seconds to change a page, right?
Yeah.
So, they have queues outside this machine. They have queues with like 10 people waiting to get cash out. Well, it can take you 15 minutes to get to the front of the queue. Do you know what I mean? To get some dash out. Because of the amount of rigmarole you have to go through to get the cash. Because the other machines, funnily enough, just don't have cash in. So they're not withdrawing, nobody can get money out from them. So they're definitely trying to starve the cash machines of money so that it starves people from getting the cash.
I think we're heading towards
happening.
real communism, where we just can't. Because in Russia, you can't protest. Like, if something's going on or wrong, kind of have to accept what's going on. So I think they want that kind of here, where
Is that true, though, Spurs? Is that true in Russia? And you have a better grasp on that because you speak the Russian. Is that correct?
I mean, they do protest, but not like, it's kind of different. So, like, when things like this are happening, people are not protesting. So you won't.
But it's an open secret there. Hang on, it's an open secret in Russia that the moon landings, for instance, is a complete hoax. So surely the coronavirus and all of its fucking obviousness as well, the movement will pick up on that. Remember, if you fool me once, shame on you. But if you fool me twice and continue to fool me, well, shame on me. You know what I mean? But what is the general sort of feel on the ground with the corona in Russia, as far as you know, and with flat Earth as well? Spurs. I haven't spoken to you in ages and ages, man. But with flat Earth, I'm genuinely interested in that, and surely they're ahead of the curve, right?
Some of them, they are aware that it's like, there's nothing they can do about it. So they do, like, within the families, they do talk about, is it a virus, is it deadly? But it's pretty much the same here. So you've got like half who just get along to get along, and others who are like, what's going on, this isn't right. But like I said, they can't really protest though in the same way that we can. And I think that's
what can we do as individuals, though? How can we if I join a group that are protesting against the mask, I'm thinking to myself, well, they're sort of caught up in a layer within a layer. There's a deeper layer within all of this. They're not aware of media fakery. Flat Earth, for instance, the biggest fucking media fakery of all. So if we try to think in terms of what the controllers, maybe what the creator is thinking, Spurs, do we need to take advantage of the step ahead that we have, or we have garnered throughout all of our experiences here by showing an interest in this, and maybe, I don't know, find an escape route to the North Center quasi-luminous? Talked about that many times. I still think it's in play. But what do you think of those possibilities? To be less selfless and more selfish in a sense, because when you think about it, at the end of the day, all of this stuff is going on in our minds, my mind, PJ's mind here. Spurs Chemo's mind, Ranty's mind, F Evangelist's mind. You know what I mean? If we all lost our memories overnight, well, you know. So do you understand the greater question I'm asking here? Because
No,
we've been
what
in
did you
this
say?
for so long.
So no, I forgot what you said, Pete. Say it again.
I know I tend to waffle on, but I was saying that to Spurs, especially. I've spoken to Spurs since 2016. So
No, you said something about losing your memory or something.
All right, okay. Okay, right, okay. Well,
You just
you
got
know
it
what I
then.
mean, though. It's about you, the individual, making sense of all of this. And if there's a greater design, a greater structure to all of this, what ability do we have as individuals to sort of come closer to it, to a realization, I guess? And you know what I'm saying, Spurs?
Well,
I think
I think the first step is peace within yourself.
right.
Because now, like for me anyway, now that I know what's going on with the flat Earth and all that kind of stuff, you're at peace more. I don't have to go to like NASA or an authority to tell me, what's going on in the world. Figure it out for yourself. So I think that's the first thing that people need to, because a lot of the ball earthers are not at peace with the fact that they've been lied to. Most flat earthers are like, okay, we've been lied to. We got over it. They're still struggling. They're not at peace with this at all. So I think once you find peace, Pete, you can start your journey. I think that's where you begin. That's like the beginning of that person's journey. And like, to can't really force anything on anyone. You can just talk to people about what it might be. But I think the first thing I think is peace, like I say, and just being content.
Right. Well, here's where the trouble lies, and I know you have children, beautiful children as well. That's what I'm saying. Tell your friend Ranty here, with his hernia, to make a fucking big deal about going and looking after that when all it involves is a half an hour stitching up under the, saving you. You know what I mean? But you have children. But on the one hand, then you find this peace within. This is the philosophy you transfer. And on the other hand, we have this external story, and we don't know what to make of it. So my point is again, how deep should we be able to see as flat earthers with an advantage? So we have a greater, I said, garnering, you know what I mean, of certain skills. And we know there's no flat earther who's atheist, right? So there's a greater picture, a greater story in play. And what I'm saying is there any sort of venture that way, understanding that this greater story has to be played out, and that piece within is fine, but there's an external puzzle to be sorted at the same time. Conflict, I guess. You know what I mean?
I think this is the question, right? So again, you're looking for, like, if you can't answer it yourself, is what I mean. Not just you specifically, but if a person, once they realize they've been lied to, yeah, and if you're asking where to go next, then obviously you're still looking for direction and authority, and anyone could tell you anything, right? So this is where you really have to get in tune with what's going on, and that's how you have to figure out.
But you're saying this is my point, Spurs. You're saying communism is on its way, and this is the opposite to peace, right? This is actually hell in a sense, isn't it? Especially, well, look, all of these things work perfectly well on paper. It's when you introduce reality to these things that they turn into horror itself. So if communism is on its way, and you have that thought, and you love your children, and you want to prepare them, well, this is the opposing sort of point you're going to say. Strive for peace, that peace within, but yet the sort of hellish future seems to be in our pathway.
That's
what I mean?
That's why we're doing the protest now for the children, for the future. So they're not in the same, position. So you can look at any historical protest. So we now today, whether it be black people or women or children's rights, the people in the past have protested to ensure the future and generations don't go through that. So unless we want our kids to go through what we're seeing that are offering, we're going to have to protest.
Okay, let's let's introduce a few people that have turned up tonight. We've got Bandsaw Bandit. You alright, pal?
Yeah, I'm at work, Randy. I just had to be on mute.
No worries, mate. No worries. We got Paige.
Good morning, everyone. No headphones, so I'll stay on mute too.
Okay. Real Bob Dole.
Yep, I'm here. I'll be taking someone home in a little bit, but then I should be back a little bit later. So.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Right, Chemo, you was on Fight the Flat Earthers a few days ago, and
Yeah.
yeah. Do you want to tell everyone how you think that went?
I don't know really. I mean, it was just the same old regular usual. He didn't provide any information that was valuable. It was just a discussion. It went well. It was he's a good guy. He was good to talk to and things like that. Got a little bit, excited a little bit, but I think was able to calm things down. But yeah, I mean, he was just giving us the same old, we've done it, we've got it, all this kind of stuff. But I mean, he left early, so we're gonna have to extend it because he said he was an atheist and he wanted to get into religion and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, I don't really want to get into religion now. I'd just rather focus on science. But yeah, I mean, did you listen to it? Is there anything in it particular that you heard or anything? If you did,
Well, I'm going to be honest and say that I only listened to about 10 minutes of it, so I haven't seen it all yet. I haven't had time. But what I did hear, and I wasn't too impressed with what I heard. Not from you, but from their attitude towards you, which was very derogatory, and very they were calling you names and stuff. And I just thought, why is Chemo sitting in that situation and allowing that to happen? I mean, you kept your calm and you kept your cool and you waited for them to say what they needed to say and get the little gimmicks in, and then when they finished it, you just went back to what you had just been interrupted saying. So you was part way through saying something, they interrupted, tried to make a mockery of you, and then when they finished that, you just carried on. So you definitely kept your cool, but it was so bad.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the way I see it. I don't see it as personal attacks. They would say this to you, to Paige here. They would say it to Bansor, to any of the flat earthers here. They would say exactly the same. If you're staunch on your position, so if you are sure of your position, then they'll attack you. Because what I've heard is lukewarm flat earthers, where they're like, well, he's a good guy, he's going to look into things. So they like that. They like newcomers or on the fence sitters. And but if you're adamant that they've got no science, you're pretty much going to get abuse. And yeah, that's just, I think, the way it's the only way they know to operate. It's the fight or flight, because you've backed them into a corner, so they need to get out. And the only way to get out is to abuse, and then hopefully you should back off. Once you back off, they get out, and then they get to go again. But I was just, he wasn't able to put me in a corner of any kind. So,
Did you see it as like a valuable resource? Going there to engage with them over on that platform. Did you feel that their audience was tuning in to listen and to try and understand or try and get answers, or were they just there to the whole bunch of them just to mock?
No, you'll get like people listening once, because how I see it is there's always a handful of people who want the ball earther to deliver. So even though the ball earther wants to mock or ridicule or just take the mick, to the fence sitter, this is serious. Because if I was listening, like if I just heard about the flat earth, and I'm looking for a ball earther to make the flat earth look silly, correct them, prove the globe, and that's how the flat earth has grown, Ranty. It's nothing. I don't think flat earth grows because of flat earthers. I think it's, you look at the ball earther and you kind of think, well, go on then. Of course you can prove it. And you find that they can't, and then you start putting faith in these people, and then you think, right, I'm going to do it myself, and then you trust yourself, and then you figure what you need to figure out. So, yeah, I get that. There's going to be a lot of abuse on their side, but I think I don't know to say it. They're useful to a degree in the fact that they're not going to be able to produce anything. So that's important that they don't produce. Just imagine they started producing real pictures or real measurement or like the Earth turning. Like if this was really happening, then we'd have problems. So as long as they keep their ridicule, their mockery, their obfuscation, all of this, flat Earth grows. Simple as that. Cannot tell someone on the streets the Earth is flat, and they say, yes, of course it's flat. The first thing they do is they say, well, I don't know if you saw Jeranism with Dearth, David Weiss there, and they had another guy on there, this Ball Earther. So the Ball Earther was like, this is really good argument, Jaren, but I'm sure there's an answer out there. I'm sure a professional could give me the answer. Yeah. So that's the thing. If you get that professional on the panel, then he would see that, well, go on then, professional, do your job, and then that would show that guy that because the Ball Earther doesn't know what he's talking about and he can't deliver, then he thinks, well, what's this? I can't trust this guy anymore.
Yeah, but do you think? I mean, we all. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that look, if you on the Globe channels, there is not they have no recourse to come to Flat Earth ever, right? They're never going to change. They're always going to be a Globe channel, right? And that's what you get from him. You don't get a balanced argument. At least here, I'll allow the Globers to come in and I'll allow them to preach what they, as long as they come in and they're willing to talk and do a presentation or something like that, then they get a fair crack at the whip. Do you know what I mean? But you don't get that there. That area, and somebody said it in the chat actually, that it's toxic, and that's how it comes across to me. It doesn't matter what you show them or what evidence you provide to them, the whole chat just doesn't want to listen. The panel, the Fight the Flat Earth doesn't want to listen. Team Skeptic doesn't want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
They're not willing to budge an inch. Here, we'll do that. Here, we'll say, okay, we can see that, right? And, we'll move on. We can concede points, but they don't do that. Did they concede a single point to you?
But you've got to know who you're talking to. This is it. I mean, if any flat earther speaks to a glober, labeled a glober, they say, I'm a glober, then you've got to know they're never, ever going to concede. Someone like Scott Veek, his father's an astronaut, he's never going to concede. He's going to go down with the ship. So when we're speaking to him, or when I'm speaking to him in mind that the audience are listening. There are people out there who will rely on Mr. Scott or Scott Veach there to give a good answer. That's how I see it. So I'm not going to convince the person. You're never going to convince the person,
Well, do you see him as playing an honest role then, Spurs?
Who?
Scott Veach, he's far too intelligent not to entertain the same arguments.
None of them are honest. None of them are true. I mean, that's what I'm saying. These guys who label themselves ballers, like the label, they know that it's not a globe. They're there to defend just this idea. That's it. And
knowing that
Mr. Scott Veach knows space is not. I mean, he knows all of this, but again, he has the legacy to defend. He has, the pride, all of these things. Now, all I can do is show to the audience that he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's it. I can't do anything more. I can't force the flat earth onto somebody, because what they're looking for is authority, and they're looking for someone like that to prove it. It's the same as with PhD Tony. Now, I know I'm not going to convince Tony that the earth is flat and that it's not a ball. I already know this, right? So that's why my questioning is like this, saying it's like, what, everyone listen to this, check this out, check out what this PhD how he will respond to this question. That's why I never lose my cool, because it's not for me. When I try to convince people one-on-one, that's going to be, in the streets or in a private setting where we're going to go through step by step. But in a debate, it's more for the people listening, not the person you're talking to. Because if you think about it, we've had creation versus evolution for years. You've got Hovind versus the evolutionists. None of them are going to change their minds. All they're doing it for is for the next generation and the audience.
So in a sense, it's like a sort of a debate theater, right? And you're taking one side, M. Scott Veitch is taking another side, because you've been bored at it for years and you do the same thing, but you're not thinking of yourselves. Your heart isn't in the argument you're presenting. Arguments, it's for the audience to make up their mind. And both of you already know the truth, as you just admitted. M. Scott Veitch knows the earth is not a spinning ball, whatever the earth is. So, and that's fair enough. That's fair enough. And hopefully millions of people will wake up. And I hope everyone here, in their private life as well, everyone knows that you're a flat earther. Everyone, including strangers, because that's how passionate we should be about it. It's our life and our time.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, you've got to know who you're talking to. And, these guys have a position to defend. So just let them defend it if that's the case. But they're going to look silly, to me, in my eyes, if they say this nonsense in front of other people. And that's how I feel the flat earth has grown, because of this reason. Not because someone said the earth is flat and then someone said, oh yeah, okay, the earth is flat. That just wouldn't be normal. That would be like, why would you just believe that? Right? You kind of go, no, of course someone can answer that. So you look to the authority, like a Neil deGrasse or someone like that, Brian Cox or whatever. Oh, explain this, because you're meant to be a professional, right? So like I say, people on Fight the Flat Earth, the professionals, they cannot, they will have fans, of course, they're going to have fans. That will always happen. Fight the Flat Earth will have a bunch of fans that support him and his argument. Again, that's normal. But, there's those fans, if you were to get them one-on-one and get them to try and prove their claims, they would just fall apart, just like, that's why they leave it to Craig. Like, Craig, you do it for us. And they're just fans supporting
what Catholics do too.
Sorry?
Isn't that like what Catholics do too? You try to get one of them to, actually stand up or show what their side of an argument is on religious matters, and they'll say things like, I leave that to my priest, or I'll check with this guy, or whatever. Like, they don't necessarily take care of those things themselves, do they?
Oh, right, yeah. So there might be verses that you might not be sure of. You ask your priest, yeah.
Well, they have to take care of it themselves now. All the churches are closed.
But I mean, you can take. I mean, I've always said this from day one. This is nothing to do with evidence. Nothing, Ranty, to do with evidence. You could show them a picture of the flat Earth. You could show them a measurement of the flat Earth. It's nothing to do with evidence. This is all psychological, in my mind. I mean, look at your experiments, Ranty. Look at Brandon's experiments. You've got people going out there doing all kinds of things to show that the Earth is not a globe, and they're all overlooked and dismissed.
Spurs, these people are the front line of what the body of science to this point has to offer. Think about Rumpus and his associations with mysterious characters. Philip, when they're working on we still haven't had the final result, but they're building on everything that's there known already within the body of science and adding extra. So this is how desperate they are, but this is ultimately what they represent. When we come to flat Earth, of course, we realize that not one argument can the ball offer that is convincing in any way. And when we think in terms of probabilities, all the different and distinct arguments needed to illustrate and prove the spinning ball Earth are sort of cumulatively lacking, and it makes it ultimately an impossibility. So my point is ultimately that the truth is always known. People like Jem Panda, you just admitted, M. Scott Veitch, astronaut son, they know the truth already. So what is the greater game here? And what is ultimately the greater game for the individual? Because it is a dark hole. flat Earth. Isn't that what we
I
know?
just want to follow up
Well-
on what Ranty's saying here. So
Yeah.
I mean, Ranty,
Lou said. Lou said
Right.
Lou says in the chat. So we were talking about conceding points, and you move on. Lou says that you do not concede. So why is that? Well, absolutely, I do. I was on Flat Earth is on his 40-hour stream, so I went in for about an hour or so, and they showed a set of different observations that I walked through with them, and they were saying, "Do you see this boat that's half hidden by water?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they were like, "Oh, right." Normally they turn around and say that it's not hidden. I'll give you an idea though of what I say is that the Globers don't concede anything, and I'm going to show this to the audience right now. I might post it on the screen for you guys to watch. Yeah, there you go.
I bet you though,
So-
Ranty, regular people accept what you've done.
Probably.
Not
But-
a Glober, just a regular person.
See this. This is one of many observations that I've done watching the boats disappear into the vanishing zone or the inferior mirage, and how many times has this video been punted around as some kind of globe proof, when the whole body of work that I've done on this particular subject, especially the inferior mirage and the optics around it and what it does to the image, seems to keep getting overlooked. And my simple point is this: why, whenever they talk about this particular image, let's say, do they never ever address the inferior mirage that's in it? They never ever address it. That it's so obvious. It's here. It's already about a third up the boat. Why don't they discuss this? Why are they frightened of speaking honest truth? You don't watch the boat go over the curve. What you see is a reflection of the boat. That's what you see. You see a reflection of the boat, and the boat disappears into that reflection. There we go. There's the inferior mirage. There's the boat going further away, getting smaller, and it disappears into the inferior mirage. Now, why is that so difficult? Here it is here. Why is that so difficult to say that? Because nobody's ever really seen a boat go over the curvature. It goes into this zone. Unless, of course, the water is very close, in which case you will see a physical body of water, or you've got a shoaling effect in the foreground. But for the most part, you see this inferior mirage, and it disappears into the reflection. Simple as that. They never ever address that.
I'll answer your question, Ranty. This is why they can't do it. They have to identify an horizon. Otherwise, they are flaccid. They have nothing. When they're looking at an image, there has to be an horizon because they have to have something to calculate to. The minute they commit to the visible horizon, now they have to explain this mirroring, which can't be on the water because all of the water is beyond, it's going below that visible horizon as they have identified it. So it has to be some other phenomena, which is, well, in the air, but they don't like it because it's a fucking stickler. And this is, of course, when we come to flat Earth realization, where ether band explanation comes into effect versus, well, what, mirrored water layer over an extended span. You pick, but they can't do it. They can't give up their geometric horizon because they have to at least locate a horizon, right? And then say, well, we'll add in standard refraction, but at least that's where it is. Otherwise, they have nothing.
Hilarious today, Ranty. So we was asking them for globe proof and how they measure the curvature. So check out this link. I don't know if you want to screen share it, put it in general. So they thought we weren't going to read it. They were like, oh, this is how you prove it. So we went through it, and the whole article is full of assumptions. They start with this as an experiment, and it just it just fell apart immediately after. I was like, well, what's the observed phenomenon? They lost their cool. But as you scroll through it, they've got the equation with the R radius in there, and they said if they assume that the Earth rotates, it was literally hilarious today, like the way we went through it. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can't see that is purposefully done,
Cocksucker.
why do you think they call these guys these names?
I don't know. You tell us, Paige. You know all about cocks.
Well, kneel on degrass for Brian's cock. Cocks. Like, yeah, and cocksuckers, and yeah, everything has a sexual connotation
It
with
sounds
these
different
people.
when a woman says it, Paige.
Cocksucker. They're obsessed with sexual connotations.
Half the audience have a horn right now.
Oh, my stomach.
A probing. Oh my god.
Oh, shit. Oh.
Ted, clean up on all four. That's what Sucker said to cocks.
That is it is.
Take two. Did you say sperms? I thought you said sperms. No, spurs. Okay.
I mean, it was just hilarious. Like I say, they said this is how you can figure out curvature with this experiment. So just scroll down and look at the bottom where they've got the.
Oh my goodness! They even call it an experiment.
Oh, it was hilarious.
And all they're doing is watching something go off into the distance.
I said to just watch the observed phenomenon. They said the sun set or something, because if you scroll down, it tells you need to get a friend, a stopwatch, pen and paper. Yeah. Yeah. Everything. This is when you need a ball earther to explain it in this one.
Distance to the horizon. Oh. Distance to the horizon. Scroll down.
Ranty, I think there's silence, no sound. They can only hear me for some reason.
Ew, that could have been because I was muted.
I can hear you. Spurs. Who said distance to the horizon? Who said that?
Me, John.
Oh, sorry, John. I thought it was a serious bowler coming in, because, of course, we'd have to identify what is the horizon. And let me just say to Ranty here, perfect, right? On the back of what you've just been talking about with the boat and the reflection, it's on water. And as flat earthers, how far does that water mirroring layer which the boat is on extend into, and this is where sunrise and sunset, and this is where we can defeat fucking Cox and Suker in one fell swoop, in a sense, right? When you extend in your own brain, Ranty, that mirrored water layer into the Z dimension over an extended span of water where the horizon always rises to eye level.
I
And
don't think
ultimately,
we
this is what the sun rises from behind and disappears beyond.
Okay, so apparently I've been muted for about 10 minutes, which is probably better. It's probably for the best, actually, because I couldn't keep a straight face when I was shouting that super chat out. So they didn't hear that. Okay.
I heard you there, man. I heard all the Cox and Suker stuff. I had a quick wank in the toilet. That's why I was on mute.
YouTube.
I mean, I've got to shout it again and keep a straight face. How about you? How about you read it out, Paige?
That's what Suker said when Cox presented his paper.
Right. Okay. Well, here we go. Right. This is about the fourth time I've tried it now. Right. Here we go. Apparently, Professor Brian Cox and Ed Zucker have just published the cocksucker theory.
A frog in your throat, Ranty.
Not again.
That can't be real, though, right?
Come on, Ranty, read it properly. Show your super chatters some respect. Come on.
Okay, right. I just can't do it. It's the funniest super chat I've read in my life.
Come on now, come on.
Right, okay. Apparently, Professor Brian Cox and Ed Zucker.
Big high voice. Just imagine the audience naked. And
have just published the cocksucker.
The cock-cox. The cock squared.
Giving a really probing head move to globally.
Is this the headline?
Don't do that again. I can't do
Okay, start again. So, come on,
I've done it. Paige can do it.
Shout out.
Paige can do it.
The Prof. Brian Cox.
They published
Right,
their
Paige, Ranty,
cocksucker
come on,
paper
man. You're the
for
backbone
a
of this.
probing.
I didn't
review
mean
or
they rolled
something.
like that.
They couldn't call it the Zucker Cox papers, could they? They had to
If
call
don't you
it.
start, Paige. They got it backwards.
Yeah, they get everything backwards.
Yeah, let's put it on screen.
Cox Zucker's probing stuff is just not what I need to hear first thing in the morning.
I bet you the papers about black holes and brown dwarfs. Something like
And smelly gas coming out of Uranus.
well, I can't deny that sometimes.
Yeah, Paige, do you
I
want to?
can't deny the cocksucker on that one.
Hey, Paige, can you read that out for me? I can't read it.
I can't see it, Ranty. Where is it?
I'm
I'll
sharing
read
it.
for
I'm
you.
sharing it on screen now. It's like,
No. Oh, hang on. Yeah, okay.
How about your page where the
had to go out and go back
cocksucker is on?
Hang on a sec. Let me get it up. Okay. Gadfly's one. Okay. Apparently, Professor Brian Cox and Ed Zucker have just published the cocksucker theory, giving a really probing head move to globe belief. There you go.
well, that was very professional. I couldn't do that.
Those
Paige has been
cocksucker
down
theories.
this road before.
It's the theory about the dark, smelly black hole.
Well, can you smell a black hole in space, John Bernard? Let's get serious for a second.
There's theory. It's just theory. Take it easy.
Well, hang on. Space is something, though, right? Something is something. If there's anything we can agree on, it's something.
But we have to see it.
Well, if it's not space, we know what it's not. What might it be? Remember astronauts, astronautical. Could it be water? Like a womb, like a big womb. We're like in the center of the womb. and the sort of waters beyond, the waters break. Could it be that sort of thing? I think that's the most reasonable, rational pathway we can take. What do you reckon to progress?
It can be water, yes, because we are looking to the stars, just like it's
Right.
in water.
I was just thinking, let me just say as well, because it's very so pertinent, Randy. When you talk about that boat reflection, this is what the boat itself is disappearing into. That reflection can be many, many miles long over a flat extended plane. As you're looking at the moon tonight, we know that the moon shrinks in size drastically to a black dot almost as we rise, right? And as we sort of change intervening medium. Well, I say we're looking at a reflection. I've said that for the longest of time, but this exaggerated reflection as well as I look at the moon, and it seems to be the same size as the sun outside. So it's sort of equivalence, as above, so below. Waters beyond, mirror water above, mirror water below.
So, Chemo,
Yes.
what
yes.
channel were you on before that you was presenting that stuff?
Which one?
That paper.
Today.
Yeah, this
Yeah, I
paper.
was just on debate flat Earth more on gems and Druss. He presented it as evidence for Earth curvature.
But is it evidence though? Well, what did you say?
Well, we went through it. He thought we weren't going to read it, and then we looked at it, and then we asked them, well, where is the horizon? Then they said, it's not the distance to the horizon, it's just measuring the sun, as you saw there, the height of the sun disappearing and stuff. Time it takes, things like that. And we just, then the experiment part, we went through that. And it just broke down, really, because they didn't have an independent variable or an observed phenomenon. But what? So
So
this point
here we go. Here we go. As the Earth rotates, so they've already presumed rotation, yeah.
Yeah.
And that isn't even getting down to anything else, is it?
They've presumed a lot in this. It's a lot of ifs and buts, and they said it's for kids.
Yeah, you're not seeing the sunset again because you've risen up higher and you can see further. It's the assumption that it's rotating has already ruined everything from the beginning for them.
But prior to that, they've told you they told the children what the sun is and how far away it is. Don't forget that. That's the most important thing in a sense. That's heliocentrism for you, right?
It's
That's the
insane
backbone.
How they're allowed to get away with it.
They're getting away with nothing, Spurs.
Yeah,
they don't know
they've got us bowing to the sun. They've got us given a little bow towards the sun, a little tilt.
It's like it's a mockery. I mean, are these the people enemies to mankind? Really? Will they
Of course it is.
Will they profit from all of this? In the meantime, we're arguing over whether to wear masks or not. You know what I mean? Without looking at the greater picture.
What's your opinion on? Do you think flat Earth has convinced people, or do you think it's a case of what the ballers say or don't say? Because I think that when people go on Nathan, I'm not sure it's Nathan that convinced them it's the flat Earth. I think it's the lack of answer.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Chemo. It's their arguments. It's people who need somebody else to tell them what's true. These kinds of people will go to these shows to listen, oh yes, somebody smarter than me will have an answer. I just know they will. So you get them to listen to what these people are actually saying, and then as long as they're, a half decent person, they go, oh my God, yeah, they are assuming that, and they are presupposing that, and they are, and they don't have any real science. So yeah, I think it's the ballers for sure getting more people to convert than us particularly,
Yeah, well, I agree in a sense. They're all actors playing a role, and well, what the greater script entails, Spurs, I think you're in a better position. I'm not going to say to know, right? But you have your faith, and I say the creator is in control of everything as well. So all of these people willingly sort of cooperate. and are privy to a greater secret. Whether it's ultimately for their own personal private gain, this is the realm of the devil, after all, of Satan, right? The material realm. That's one thing.
I think
If it's not, there's a different game in play. It could be to wake us up, Paige. And well, what are we waking up to?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
48.
Um,
I'm
but I
young.
also think that people like Ranty and Nathan are there for once that normie has heard the ball arguments and they realise, hang on, there's something fishy going on here, then that's when they go and listen to people like Nathan and Ranty and then they go, oh, okay, there is an alternative explanation. So then they
Right.
move on from there. But I think their initial looking at the subject will be because their initial foray into a flat Earth channel would be because they've heard just pathetic excuses from the ball side.
Well, let's not
And they wanna know
forget. Well, let's
What do you
not.
think, Randy?
Sorry, what?
What do you think about that? Do you think the flat earthers are convincing, or do you think it's the lack of ball earthers being able to provide evidence?
It's well, I think it just comes down to the individual. For me personally, I watched a few videos, went out and did my own observations, and that was it for me. That's it. I suppose everyone has a different limit to how much evidence they're willing to accept, and I think that all comes down to how much, how hard it is for you to throw away the emperor's clothes. Do you know what I mean?
No, but I'm saying, do you think you would convince someone it's flat? Or do you think it's when you're arguing with Rumpus that they think, well, Rumpus is talking nonsense? Or do you think you showed them that it was flat?
Yeah, I think. See, here we go. A lot of their stuff relies on magic, right? That they can't prove.
Mm.
Whereas we don't need to have magic.
Yeah, but I'm saying, do you think you convince a regular person that it's flat? Or do you think, well, what?
I think if you gave me half a day with somebody that had never really got into this argument, to have a conversation with him, yeah, I could probably get them thinking real hard about it.
Yeah, I bet you any money they'd start thinking about it, but they wouldn't be convinced until they went to hear a baller give their explanations for what's going on, and then they go, holy shit.
Would they walk away a flat earther from you, Rand? Is what I'm saying. They walk away from Nathan's going, oh yeah, okay, I know it's flat.
It all comes down to the individual, Chemo. You can't convince somebody that wholeheartedly wants to be a space cowboy.
Where did you walk away from Spurs knowing it was flat? We all had a transition.
Yeah, but somebody.
Where did you walk away from knowing it was flat?
Because I'm in the beginning, so I thought the ballers would be able to explain, because I thought there's no way it can be flat in the beginning, and then you kind of think, well, the ballers will be able to explain it, and then when you realise they can't explain it, you start to trust yourself.
Yeah, but what I mean by that, did you take on board Mark Sargent's clues, Eric Dubé and his 200 proofs, prior research, and at some point go, well, I can't deny it anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because you've been here since I came into this arena in 2016. YouTube
Yeah,
arena.
I was around in 2014, before Mark was around, and I remember looking for stuff online, like more stuff when it came, because I was introduced to it by pictures. So I was looking at a conspiracy channel that was looking at cloning, nothing to do with flat Earth, and they had one video that had,
we were talking over at fakeologist.com about flat Earth back in 2013, 14, and there was very few talking about it. I found out Mark Sargent's very first interview. Remember, he's Mr. Let's put it in perspective here. This is the biggest arena there is, the biggest transitioning point coming to reality. His first interview was at fakeologist.com.
I know, but I don't want to get into that. I just want to say, like just how I got into it. Just like, it was because of the pictures. There was no pictures, and then obviously I thought this just can't be. And then, like I say, I remember thinking, the ballers will be able to explain this. they weren't borders then. They were just, we were just all the same. And then I was just thinking, and I remember thinking, why aren't they just answering? Why aren't they just giving the straight answer? And then you just got to make a decision, and then you go out.
Yeah, but well, hang on, Spurs. Why are you not looking into your own research? Forgetting about any borders or any sort of arguments, debates between people. Your own research will tell you, right? So, I mean, what I'm asking is, what was the transitioning point for you? You asked Ranty, could he persuade someone to be a flat earther? What persuaded you to be a flat earther?
Well, like I said, to me, it's a very simple endeavor. If it's not a ball, and then it's what we see. This doesn't require a body of evidence. It's
So,
like
what is Earth then?
I think there needs
After
to be
all these years, what is Earth? I mean, flat is just an adjective. It
just a
describes.
description, yeah. But what I mean
Yeah.
is, it doesn't curve, so that means the water is horizontal. It's level.
Hmm.
So what I mean
Something
is,
curved,
it
though.
wasn't even. If I'm being honest, it wasn't even flat Earth evident.
Right.
Like, if you can call it evident, it wasn't like I had a picture of the Earth or a measurement or anything like this. All I understood was, why would they fake the pictures? Why would they fake the moon landing? What are they doing all this for? And then you, like I say, you research, you find out why, and then you just come to the conclusion, well, if it's not a
Yeah.
ball,
Yeah.
it's flat. That's what I see.
Clicks. We were led into conspiracy land, weren't we? Slowly but surely. From the moment we were born, really. Think about the JFK movie in the
There's
90s.
no evidence. What evidence that you made you a flat earther? What is the evidence?
Well, I agree with it. All comes back to the pathway the individual has taken, and as we
Yeah,
follow
I
the
want to know what the
conspiracy
evidence
world,
is.
yeah.
So
Well, I'm just telling you, Spurs.
to
As
you,
we
what's
follow the
the evidence?
conspiracy world, I'm
Yeah.
like yourself. I'm like yourself. That it's sort of just sort of clicked, right? That they couldn't bring it to this level. I found out everything else was fucking fake. They couldn't bring it to this level. But then I went through listened to all the different pieces of evidence over the years, even up to this day. I'm not sure the Earth is flat. In fact, I know the Earth is not flat because Earth is something different indeed, right? But the surface we're on can be considered flat. That's what I would say to that. But something moves, and there's something rotund. And I think the likes of Gem Panda and the likes of all of his cohorts, they're playing on words. What you understand by Earth is not what they understand by Earth, but they will carry on with that sort of misunderstanding, in inverted commas, in mind, and play you for words. You know what I mean? So I do think the Earth is round, and I do think the Earth is moving, but it's only because the Earth is something different.
Here's the
station.
here's the thing with me. I think I never really looked at the moon landings. You know, I never really looked into them. But after I saw what happened at 9/11, right, and after I saw how they could hoax something as bad as that, when I started to look at the moon landing stuff, that's when it just dawned on me that, look, yeah, they tried to pull off something very similar in 2001, and this grainy bit of footage that we have is supposed proof that we went to the moon. Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
When did you realize that, man?
What?
When did you realize 9/11 was a hoax, or you realized 9/11 footage?
About 2000.
And then you looked into the moon landing.
No, 9/11 first.
Well, and when was that?
2007, 2008, something like that.
Fuck off out of it, Ranty. How come I'm the only fucker who's been vocal about the 9/11 media and victim hoax? I know it's sort of controversial and it could get your channel taken down, but still in all, I mean, over the years...
Pete, I've mentioned it many a time, mate. It was what woke me up, if you want to consider being woken up. When I saw the documentary by Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. And then I saw a few videos on YouTube, like the nose out stuff.
Right.
And just the way that it just all made sense. Listen, I always knew something happened that didn't make sense on the day. I couldn't put my finger on it. Right? There was just something that just didn't feel right about it. And it was only when it was explained to me that the buildings fell in their own footprint that it all made sense. You don't expect a building to fall like that. You know, with the structures they had in place, you would have thought if anything was going to happen, not that it should do anyway. It shouldn't have fallen down anyway, but it would have toppled. Do you know what I mean, or something like that? But for it to fall in its own footprint, take out all the structure, on both buildings, one after the other, and both fall like that. Nah, it didn't dawn on me at the time. It didn't dawn on me at the time.
Isn't it?
All right, let's get back to the flat Earth thing. Ranty, what's
Well,
your
hold on. Yeah, all right. One sec. Let me shout out the super chat. Cleary says, "Do you feel motion or see curvature? No. The burden of proof is on you then, Mark Gaylor."
Mark Gaylord, is that what he said? He's going to do a paper next with Cox and Zucker, right?
But guys, seriously though, what is the best flat Earth proof that proves the entire Earth is flat?
Listen, you don't need any particular one proof. You just need to go down to the beach, know a distance to a target, and observe it. That's it.
Right.
You know.
I say orientation, like, because regardless of what you see, right? Like if a boat starts disappearing, you have to assume orientation change for the ball, right? And orientation change, somebody on the side or on the bottom of whatever we're living on is never observed. We're only observed on the top, like pieces on a chessboard, and that you will never get any other proof of anything other than that orientation. So I think that's the strongest, and it's logically consistent.
When you bring back the basic Spurs, you've heard me say this a million times because it's the conclusion I've come to myself. Earth's movement is always assumed. When you take away Earth's movement, then with a universal experience of water, which is flat when still at standard atmospheric conditions, temperature and pressure, the ball doesn't enter the equation. It ends right there. So
this is what the ballers need to get into their head, is that
none of them can answer that. None of them can answer. They hate that. They hate me, and they hate that question because I asked them, when was the Earth first scientifically proven to move? The way all theorizing to that point could be confirmed, right? And all future theorizing could continue with confidence. And remember, they would have been going away from thousands of years of sort of a sort of common Earth-wide understanding that the Earth is flat and stationary, and none of them can fucking answer it. That's why they hate it. So sorry, yeah.
Chemo, my favourite proof for flat Earth now are the observations we have from anything that has a camera that can hover in the air. So if you get a drone or something with a camera on it and you can film sunset or star rotation, then that's absolute proof that it's not the ground moving causing you to see those things move, because you're seeing them move when you're not attached to the Earth anymore. So that just destroys rotation. And then from there, it's so much easier. You know, if once you know you're not moving, you know, everything else just follows.
Yeah. That's it, you see. There's not one piece of proof or evidence that we can say, you know, overwhelmingly proves. And this is the thing, you see. It's not about proving they're asking us to prove what.
To who, Spurs? What's your answer to that? What's your answer to your own question? To whom are you trying to prove anything? The truth is already known. What's your answer to your own question?
I'm saying that's the point. There isn't. It's not. It doesn't require evidence. It just requires you to look, and you see flat. So they're saying that what you see is not the case. So, you know, it's obviously down to them to show that what you're seeing is not.
No, you have it wrong, man. You have it wrong because above all people, Chemo, you invoke a creator. There's a higher power in play here. So come on, man. That's not good enough.
Well, that shut that up argument, didn't it? What's your best proof, Chemo?
Oh, for the flat Earth, well, it's the liquid finds its level when it's at rest, and large bodies cannot conform around the exterior without a force. So you'd have to show there's a force that can hold the water or the liquid to the exterior of an object. They're going against what water naturally does, which is seek
Hang
its
on.
level.
Hang on. It's easy. It's easy to show a force that can hold a liquid to the exterior of an object. It's an applied force. You can do it all the
What?
time.
It's a
You do
what
it in
force?
engineering.
A
It's
what force?
easy to demonstrate a force which makes a liquid adhere to the exterior of an object. But it's like, how do your car works? This is the whole point in transferring this to the greater universal mechanics, right? So, yeah, we have to get our terms correct as well, Spurs. And when it comes to what isn't, we have to remember that the truth is always known. Who are we up against? The MC Scott Veaches. That's not right. But he knows already. So if I know I'm up against him, that he knows more than I do, where does that fucking leave me?
Well, we're up against the system, aren't we? And I think we do it for the next generation. Well, that's at least why I do it. So they have the opportunity to, think about these things in the right way and not have a one-track mind and believe this
Well,
fantasy.
Spurs Chemo, you have, I think you have 5 beautiful children, right? Right now, and you'd be justified in all eyes, right? I think the throne itself is vacated by the queen. There is no queen. Every man, woman, and child born onto that land is king and queen by natural birthright, given to us from Genesis 1, from God to us, right? So you are the king, you are the authority. Your children are the kings and queens as well. So
You're
this
eager
is
to get
reality.
into the religious aspects of it all, Pete.
Doesn't have to be religious, Spurs. The truth
Or
is known, right?
spiritual realms.
Right.
You're eager
The truth
to.
is the truth, though. We really agree the truth is the truth and the truth is known.
Well,
That's what the legal name is all about as well. And Paige, please tell Ranty to go into the hospital tomorrow and tell him he's a fucking living man and he requires immediate attention because he doesn't know if he's going to drop dead any minute. Please advise him anyway to do that. At least he might get some
I already have, Pete. I've already told him that if I was him, I would be standing up and saying, oi, this could kill me. You guys don't have any proof that this virus is as bad as you say it is. But they're just gonna stand their ground, and he's gonna have to fight, and it's gonna take time, and might end up taking as much time as what it would take if he just waited, and so
deal with the living man.
When
deal
you're
with
on
your
your
local
own, it's
doctor as a
hard.
living man. Deal with your local emergency hospital as a living man, and see how far you get. You get much further, maybe further than what you think, and maybe that's what they're all under instructions, waiting for us to sort of step into, or true authority.
Bandsaws here and F evangelists. I mean, do they have their best flat Earth proof, or what they think why it's flat?
For me, chemo, as a proof, I can drive 2 hours from where I live, excuse me, and I can see across 40 miles of water back to where I live, and it can be seen on some days with the naked eye, but definitely with some magnification. To go to Pete's point, for me, whether we live on a ball or a flat plane doesn't change any of our lives day to day in one element. However, for me, what it does is it opens up a broader conversation to people to explain that the reality that they think they live in is nothing more than a confection of the system, and the system is merely a reflection of the people running the system. Ergo, the people running the system do nothing but lie and deceive them all day long, every day. And yes, they have a happy little existence, but it's within a lie. So it's a bigger conversation to open up people's minds to what they live in, why are they here? Is it just to wake up, go to sleep, earn some money and have a holiday, or is there more to this existence than what most people ever consider?
It's a deception within a reflection of a convection.
That's right. Thank you, Pete. Thank you.
Fucking hell. Imagine trying to shake someone out of that, though. This is why the whole conspiracy road process was given to us. This is why the internet computers were given to us as well. So I guess it's down to the individual ultimately. We can all agree on that. We have a mindset, we have a thought process which is determined by our pathway to this point. Ultimately, I think we all share the same pathway, share the same truth. And this is why all different manner of sort of tentacles, if you want, of the great beast have to be considered. You cannot talk about 9/11 and talk about flat earth and not talk about vaccines or all, you know what I mean? So everything has to be on board and understanding that the truth is always known. This life, this experience we're having is pre-scripted, it's preset. So I think that changes everything. And well, I think we'll all agree, right? 2020, no one has seen anything like it, and it's not over yet. 9/11 is really yet to come. What's 9/11 in England, Spurs? What's the date? How would you write it?
9/11, yeah.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. 9/11 is the 9th of November, right?
To America, so we write 11th for the night.
Right. No, we write 9/11, the 9th of November. Yeah, so they would write 11/9, but we know 11/9 is 9/11.
9/11. Confusing me now, Pete. But
that's what it all is. It's all about a mirror. Everything is mirrored. We're mirrored ourselves. Don't take. Remember, Spurs. I'm not bringing religion into any of this, but what I do say is you are a representative of mankind. As a male of the kind, the female is representative of each individual of everyone's story. We all share the same story. And that story has been unfolded at an accelerated rate. It really has. And I would say to you as well, whatever's going on in your mind, if you're not paying attention to the external, right, the sky, look out at the moon tonight, reconsider it. Look out at the clouds, reconsider it. Something is fucking moving. And something is moving that is part of Earth. When someone says to you, Earth, what's the first thing that comes to your brain? As a ball earther heliocentrist, of course, the blue marble comes to our brain. But as a flat earther, well, maybe the onus is on you to develop your picture, your story.
But we've still got a long way to go, Pete. There's still many out there who have been deceived. So, you can look at it like maybe it's a collective vibration, consciousness, whatever. The more people are awake, the more energy is out there. So right now, if you were talking spiritual realms, right now, all of the energy is being harvested by the elite, by the system, and they're scaring the living daylights out of people, aren't they? And
that's where the third man, were we all victims to this greater plan where all the energy has been harvested, and ultimately there's going to be a culling. Martin Leakey talks about this. So in your way, Spurs, with all the hours that you put into this, have you ultimately sort of sealed the doom of people? I'm just saying there's a possibility. Have you considered that?
So, Pete, I mean, again, I'm not trying to get into the religious, but okay. So again,
we don't have all the time in the world, though, man. We don't have it.
Let me explain a little quick second. I'm not going to get into it too deep, but so it's like this. So the Christians right now on Earth, we do not have a king or a leader. So what they're doing, they're waiting for Jesus to return, right? So everyone on Earth right now has a king or a president or a queen. So you see people wearing masks or just complying with their authority. So to them, that's their leader. So all we're doing right now is just patiently waiting until the return of our king. Yes. And then obviously we go from there, Pete.
Let me stop you there first. Please let me stop you there. And I apologize for stopping you there. When you talk about everyone on Earth, well, PJ here has literally done this. And I've been to the army, I've been to the police, and I signed this in blood as well, declaring myself King of Era, King of Ireland, right? On the basis, just like I said to you about your own land, that we as man, woman, and child born onto this land are the highest authority. So I will exclude myself from that. I'm not looking for any king or queen or higher authority. I don't mean higher authority, I mean on the land. I know there's a higher authority in play, but I'm saying that is your role now. That is your shoes to fill in, right? To step into, if you so choose. So I had to step in there. So please continue.
One of the titles of Jesus, though, Pete. One of the titles of Jesus is King of Kings.
Exactly. So again, I'm not arguing with Pete. If Pete feels that he is his own god, then again you can't really ask.
That's not what he said.
I never
What?
said my own God, man. I did recognize there's a
Or
higher
your own
power here.
king.
Spurs. Come
If
on.
you are your own
God or the
authority,
Creator gave us dominion over the land. We don't know what the land is, though. We thought it was part of a
you've been
spinning ball.
appointed.
We don't know we live on
That
the
was all
back of the,
Louis
the,
Love
the
said.
divided tree of life, right? You can claim any section of a ball you like, Spurs, and your dominion over that. But it's all fantasy, right? It's illusion. It's confectionery, as F. Evangelist said. When it comes to flat Earth and our understanding, or greater understanding to what it actually is, well, then that makes all the difference. And this is where the legal name comes into it as well. And the dividing oceans, right, which came from above, post-destruction.
Can I just add
So,
to that, frequency thing, what you're talking about, giving off the right vibrations and thoughts and stuff. I'm starting to feel that if the people who are the worker bees in these systems, the ones that have been caught in their web and, went through school, believed the indoctrination, they're usually our brightest kids. They funnel them off into places like NASA and building satellites and all this kind of shit. If they knew for sure that the rest of us would support them when they walk away from that system, if they knew they weren't going to, lose their job, lose all their money, not have any income coming in, be destitute, I'm sure a lot of them, their attitudes would start to change. I think a lot of them are just scared that they're going to lose everything. If they agree with us, then everything's gone. We need to support these people and tell them that, no, we want to try and find a way to help you, make NASA pay back all that money and compensate these people that have been hurt by their lies. I know that's
That's right.
I know that's a utopian view, but I just feel like if they knew we did support them, yeah, go for it.
It's also I was going to say, it's also, that's the curse of the materialism lie that we've been fed all of our lives, where they feel they have to hang on to the job to get the money, to get the stuff, instead of, okay, if I lose my job, who cares? I'm worried about the truth. If I have to plant carrots and have a chicken and that will keep me alive, I'm happy with that as well. It's a genius plan that is beyond human
it's genius.
conception. It's
Comprehension.
beyond human
Yeah.
conception. Men could not have
how the
dreamt
hell did
this
we come up
intricate
with
web
that?
up.
Yeah. No way.
NASA isn't
Genius.
even an American company. It's registered in Switzerland. So you couldn't get a foreign company to pay back anyone in America.
F. Evangelist, you're beyond human conception. This is what coming away from materialism and two, I guess, flat Earth does. It brings an immaterial center to focus, right? So maybe all of these things are the temptation. Remember when Jesus, according to the story, received enlightenment after 40 days of fasting, right? He was offered the whole world by the devil. So the material world. So, right, if there's a greater story to our existence, have you landed satisfactorily on an appropriate chapter where you'll find yourself in sort of a mental comfort? You know what I mean by that? Now, of course, when we come to flat Earth, we have a Bible that's handed to us or waiting for us at the door. So automatically at this stage, this will bring our heckles up. So it has to, because it's a greater challenge for us. But have you considered that aspect? And let me just finalize the question by asking,
What's the observer height? Well, we need to figure out the height, and we can figure out where the geometric horizon should or shouldn't be. No sound, Ranty. You've got no sound.
2.2 miles away. I keep forgetting. I'm sorry. I've taken some cold moles, so I'm not 100%. Keep forgetting.
That's why you got the giggles.
You shouldn't take any unless you have some to share.
Oh, I've got a box full, mate. 30 milligrams, the 500 milligram capsules, the massive, and I take 3 at a time. Woohoo! Anyway, right, okay. So the point, yeah. So this observation, this was by Dr. John D recently, actually. So the back turbine is about 11 miles away. This one's about 8, and the horizon should be like 2.2 miles away. Let's say 3. Let's just say 3, just for the sake of it. Right? So it should be 3 miles away.
No, it's 3 miles away if you're 6 foot.
Yes, I know. Well, let's just say 3 miles. Let's just say 3 miles. Let's just say it. You know, the horizon should be 3 miles away. We know it's nearer, but number 3 sounds good. That's 8 miles away, and that's 11 miles away, right? Anyone see the problem here?
That black bit and yellow bit should be disappearing down behind the curve, but you can see the black and yellow on all of them. They just get smaller with distance as they go away. You can still see it all, though.
What is the black portion in the water? Is it just seaweeded over, or is it tarred over to prevent corrosion? Why is it that color?
Or is it tide heights, low and high tide?
I've never actually
climb paint.
Yeah, I've never really thought about it, to be fair. They always have that black part on the bottom, though, and yellow above it. It's just a normal thing. I wouldn't know for sure what it is.
My guess is it's algae, like under docks and wharves.
Sorry, did you say something there, Kimo?
I think it stops it getting rusty.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah, you don't want them falling down through rust.
Yeah, they might be like covered in some kind of tar stuff to stop the water getting in. Make them like a little bit more waterproof.
So, see on the right hand side, we've got this this model. So, I believe it was who was it? The guy with tits. What's he called?
Oh, Sean.
Moobs.
Yeah, it was him.
Flat Earth.
No, the other one. Yeah.
Oh, the one with real boobs.
Yeah.
Bigger boobs, Sean Hawkins.
Sean Hufford. No, Sean Hufford. Hawkins is the crack-looking dude, the one that looks like he's had a real hard life on crack.
Keep him straight.
Hufford is the one with long blonde hair and tits bigger than mine. Like, holy shit, big bazungas.
Yes, I believe it was him that did this, if I recall right. And he was analysing one of my observations, and he modelled this out. And what he did is he left the water transparent, so you could see through it, and you could get an idea of what was happening with the bottoms of the turbines. Well, perfectly. I mean, this is what you would expect to see on a globe, right? You know, because it's going over a curve. Once you go behind the horizon, you've got this lowering down, and you know you can see how it's going over the curve. The problem is in this image here, we're not seeing that, are we? Yeah. In actual fact, it's extending out like it's on a plane. It's funny that, isn't it?
In fact, the horizon
funny that.
way back beyond the 11-mile one is over 20 miles away. Those hills and the actual more or less apparent horizon, it's still another 15 miles away.
Easily.
What's that blobby looking stuff on the left there, Ranty? Right at the... is that land or...
Yeah, well, the Globers...
Or is it just like fog?
The Globers would like it to believe it's some kind of fog or clouds or something like that. The problem was that there was no clouds in the area on the day. It was a very...
That's right, it was a really sunny day.
Really sunny day. So it's highly likely that it was some kind of land in the distance. Highly likely.
Being refracted up, of course.
Oh, well, yeah, it'd have to be, wouldn't it? It would have to be. Even though the wind turbine blade, if you look in here, even though the wind turbine blade that's straight actually bends down a little bit. And also you can see this extended...
Oh, wow, look at that.
And can you see this...
really bent down.
Refraction, though. That's what they'll tell you, it's just refract.
Yeah, but can you see this extended blade here? How that has come right down to the bottom, and that one here,
Mm-hmm.
That's quite high. That's being pulled down. It's being pulled down and bent. That's being stretched down.
That's
So,
because of the lightsaber effect.
oh, the lightsaber. Okay. Let me do a couple of shout-outs out to Cleary, who says only children believe in Santa and the globe. It wasn't that long ago that I stopped believing in Santa. I think I was older than the
That's
kid.
not real.
Well, so he says. So he says. And
I'm
Bill,
gonna have to check with the Glober first. I'm not quite sure.
I think we should. Yes, we need to get Glober's opinion on that. Actually, busy Billy Wazza just gives me money. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. If you begrudge giving YouTube 30% though as well, I do have a Patreon at PayPal in the description. The link if you want to use PayPal, so that you don't give that 30% to YouTube. That would be welcome to. Right, okay, let's get back to this. Yeah, so why do you think we're not seeing this this sort of like arcing like over a curve that we should get?
Because we don't live on a ball. That's why
Well,
we're not
if you
seeing
draw
it.
a straight line too on his animation of it, you'll see that he's actually moved each consecutive post down.
Yep.
They're not all on the same horizontal plane at all now.
No. It looks like
He's angled them down.
Yeah,
He's
so
pushed
that you
each
can
one
do the
down a little,
make it
a little,
look.
a little.
Yeah, make it look like they're reducing in angular size, but he's
Just
not
more cheating.
actually reducing. He's just dropping them below the surface of the water.
Yeah.
So totally not what's happening in reality.
Can I take a moment here? Because yesterday when what's his name was on, I mentioned some things about Blender, and he said no, it's just a 3D coordinate thing and stuff. Okay. Now I tried to ask him. Okay, when you open Blender, what are you working with? You're working with an absolute flat checkered grid, if you will, plane, and you build your world on this plane. You're not building on a ball. You're not building on an algorithm that calculates a ball. You're building on something that can go from a pixel to 3D photorealism. That is what that software is made for. It's cinematic, high-grade software for pipelining visual effects and textures and real-life emulation, simulation. So real you can't tell it from a real picture. So that's all I wanted to say. Rumpus, or whoever it was there, I forget his name there, but anyway, like I said, you can't just. I had to just let him go because he was being entertained, you know?
I think it was Ruif, no?
Ruhif, yeah. But basically, he says first, oh, I'm not a professional, I don't know, I'm not an expert in that software. But he's expert enough to say, oh, it's only a 3D Cartesian representation, whatever, of blah, blah, blah. So he's no expert, but he can say absolutely certainty that it's nothing but what he says.
Right.
What kind of nonsense is that? And
And
people
what
can't
they
see
say,
it?
what they say with that Cartesian coordinate system, like really what happens is when you set your vertical, it gives you a horizontal plane that is, it can be extended indefinitely. But what they do is they move the vertical, a mile further, reset it and say that horizontal plane is different to the one you had set, a mile backwards, when no, like you can see any computer game or anything, once the surveyor has set his vertical, that horizontal plane can stretch forever.
It is just a little point, but in mathematics, infinity is not possible. It's not a reality in mathematics. If you put infinity at the end of equations, you might as well not have done an equation. End of story. Infinity
Can
is
I
not
just
part of math and not reality either. We
can you
are
be
in a
able to
finite
give me
world.
Maybe you're interested in this, Jim, and listeners who were listening earlier on, but I just read that the cocksucker revolutionary paper has been nominated for the Nobel Prize. So you might be interested in that. Anyway, sorry. Sorry.
Well,
For the
NASA just
Nobel.
announced that Uranus is leaking
Oh my God.
matter and not just farting now. So I think they should get the Nobel Prize.
You see, because what we're dealing with, guys, is two camp of people who want different kinds of evidence. So when the ballers ask for evidence, they mean a mathematical equation only, nothing to do with practical, evidence. So obviously the other side obviously wants practical evidence, like show that water can do something or it can't do something. And that's the problem with a lot of these ballers, is that when they ask for evidence, like you might provide evidence, Ranty, and they say, well, that's not evident because you can't calculate the compression, so to speak, or we can't calculate the obstruct. So we know its obstruction is not physical, but we need to calculate what that non-physical obstruction is and how it does it with all these variables they want us to calculate. Otherwise, it's not a model.
And you're going to do it with the wrong formula, the 8 inches per mile, or I don't care what unit you use, squared.
Yeah.
So there you go. Instead of using like rads, like, the radius uses radians to measure. No, let's forget that. Because someone at the beginning said, oh, we'll use this portion of 8 inches per mile squared in this formula that decays exponentially because it barely works on a few hundred miles. But that's just okay. So if you had to work the whole, say, 90 degrees or, 1/4 of the globe, you could never do it with 8 inches per mile squared. It's bullshit. So as long as, quote, flat earthers are suckered by this Glober fool's math to do your calculations, you're all a bunch of numpties. Sorry about that, but that's the way it is.
Can I jump in?
It's like Feynman says.
Can I jump in?
If it doesn't fit, it
Sure.
doesn't fit.
Sure you can.
Can I jump in?
Of course you
All
can.
right. 8 inches per mile squared works for a quarter of the presupposed globe. We don't get 8 inches per mile squared because the Earth is not a globe.
Yeah.
The math would work for the first quarter of the ball.
The proper math
were a ball.
is degree
No, that is the proper math.
No,
But
it is not.
we don't live on a
Darling,
globe.
It is not. Yeah, I know we don't live
The
on a
8
globe,
inches
but even if we
per
did,
mile
that would not
square the
be the
mile
right mathematics to
would work.
apply in formula. End of story.
Well, as I say, the 8 inches per mile squared it's accurate up to about 1,000 miles. So it's absolutely 100% usable because we don't really see more than 1,000 miles. Ever.
You never see more than 100.
It's
Yeah.
functional on a short basis. Not accurate, truly, but,
It's a good guesstimation when you're looking over water, but when you're looking over land, you can kind of forget it.
You use radians to measure arcs and circles.
There is no arc, though, Jimbo.
I know that. So it doesn't matter what you're using. You're not measuring anything.
Jay Tolan saw over 1,000 miles with infrared camera at a certain height, right?
Yeah, 1,800, I think it was.
That's mad. That's
The higher up you go, the farther you can see.
The
I agree with
USGS
that.
has
From the
LiDAR.
ground,
1,200
what they want is an explanation for why there is obstruction. If it's not physical, they want to know what is it. And
they don't understand angular resolution. That's the problem.
It's the mirrored water layer over an extended span of water spurs. Simple. You knew that back in 2016.
This is their biggest stumbling block. If they could figure out what causes the sun to be obstructed, a boat to be obstructed, and put this into a mathematical equation, they would be satisfied.
Well, there's USGS.
We have them.
Thousands of miles of LiDAR of coast that are perfectly flat. And that's not
And
mathematical.
all the equations about our eyes. You just swap it to, where things disappear in the distance for our eyes, and it is the same as what they say the curve block.
Well,
like
Paige, let me just say, Ranty, bring up that image that you were berating. I think it was Rumpus and Co. earlier on about the ship disappearing into the mirroring on the water. If we as flat earthers extend that mirrored water layer into the distance, taking perspective into account, great distance is going to compress until we get to the actual horizon where the sky actually meets the land. And this is what ultimately the sun disappears behind this extended mirrored water layer. That's all. It goes off into the distance.
Do you think it's fair, like on their side, that they're like, I mean, are they being difficult or are they being fair by saying, okay, look, we see obstruction. Okay, it's not physical, but what is it? What's going on? Do you think that's a fair question?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's why Dr. Professor Etherband Boyman, I'm surprised he's not here tonight, has his alternative explanation to offer up in a flat earth sense. Now, it might be true, but it might not be true. Now, the one thing we can agree on, we're moving away from ball earth considerations. This is a fixed, established horizon, give or take refraction.
Whoa, the horizon, come on, it's fixed, established horizon.
That's for the ballers. We're moving away from that, Jim.
For the ballers.
Hold on, guys, because by all rights, we don't have to give them an explanation. Like we don't, because we know it's not a physical, so we don't have to tell them, the calculations. I'm just saying, should we assist them? Do they need extra help? Should we guide them and say, well, what it could have, couldn't be?
Let me just finish then by saying this, Jim. You came in there, but it was exactly on point. Ruhif was on the last night, and I caught him in a corner. Because as he has these ball earth predictions, well, what are your flat earth predictions, Ruhif? He said the horizon rises to eye level as we're looking over an extended span of water and we're taking perspective considerations into account, right? It will be water all the way. And if the water tends to mirror locally, which is what Ranty showed earlier on, well, then it will mirror into the distance. And this is what the sun ultimately disappears behind. It's a perfect explanation for the bowlers, but they will not step away from their geometric horizon, nor can they, Jim, or else
Pete,
all
there's
collapse.
one of the ballers has given a diagram of what would happen. I can't remember which one it is, but Bev and Cleary were talking about it. I think Cleary's channel had it up the other day, and Bev shows his observation of a sunset from way up high, and he shows the ballers like little diagram of what you should see on a flat plane, and it's exactly the same.
Well,
I think the observation's done from a drone or something, so it's like way
that.
high, and
I
you see the sun like fold into itself. It mirrors into itself, and then you get like two suns and a gap in the middle, and then
Okay.
but you're not seeing that from the ground. Like the person on the ground is just seeing a big ball go, what looks like go behind the horizon. But from up higher and seeing further, you actually see the sun like fold in on itself into this vanishing point. Like it's just amazing.
Don't
and
forget,
that's exactly what the guy said would happen on a flat plane, and he's a baller. But he only said that because, but he's saying you should see that from the ground, and you don't. You have to see it from really high. And
let's see what. I just want to see bring in a couple of new people that have turned up. Branch, are you there to say hello?
Oh, hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? I think this is the first time you've been in.
I've been here before.
Oh, have you? Hey, under Branch, his name.
Probably Hellboy.
We know Branch.
Oh, Hellboy. Right, okay.
Oh,
there we go.
Hellboy, yep.
Oh, special Branch.
Sitting today, I'm kind of listening.
Oh, Hellboy, he's like a fucking old prostitute. He's been around the block more time than cocksucker has ever been.
Dear me, Pete. Dear me.
I know him, though. I know that guy.
Wow. Well, I know, man. I know Pete, man. I know Pete and his video, fucking Dodoology and all that shit.
Yeah, you like it. I go on mute while Ranty quiz him. That's what's going on.
Yeah, something like that.
Got
Anyways, I'll let you guys get at it.
Okay. Shout out to Cleary for the super chat. Says all globe claims are based on inductive reasoning, but the horizontal reality is based on deductive reasoning. Very well said there, Cleary.
Well, explain that, Ranty. Explain what you think he meant by that.
Oh, you explain it. If you've interrupted to make a point about it, go ahead. Knock
I'm
yourself
not saying
out.
that. You said it was very well said. So if it's very well said, it's a basic disagreement, stepping off point between ball earthers and flat earthers. We all agree on a horizontal. They say there's no horizontal. It depends on your positioning on a sphere Earth. It's this basic sort of communication or miscommunication, purposeful. So yeah, he's absolutely right, Cleary, in what he said, and it's perfectly obvious, isn't it? Horizontal is horizontal, and I've said this from the start as well. A $2 spirit level made and calibrated in China, a little mini one that works perfectly well here in Ireland, or that you might use, Randy, proves horizontal is horizontal. When you ask the bowlers for an explanation, they talk about gravity having a specific effect on that little bubble that keeps it between the lines. Nonsense, you know what I mean? That's my position.
Cool stuff. Right, listen, if anybody supports the show on the PayPal as well, I will shout out whatever it is that you send in there as well. So don't worry if you want to do a super chat, but you do want to do it by PayPal. I'll definitely make sure that I shout you out that way too. Who do it? Left Lane, how's it going?
Hey, Randy. I'm driving, listening.
No worries. Right, Chemo, are you still there, mate?
Yeah, I'm still there. You've got someone else in here. What's the name? That flat fellow.
Oh right, okay. Oh yes, sorry, I hadn't gone. My list didn't go down as far as that. So yeah, that flat fellow, how's it going?
Hey, Ranty, just listening, brother.
Okie dokie.
Tell us.
So where do you think this is going, Chemo? What do you think's, I mean, you engage quite a lot with the Globers, so, and you're always battling them. And in fact, you go into those places and it's like 10 against 1. I mean, are you actually making any progress with them? Or is it just, I don't know, just a place to sharpen your tools?
I was just about to say, yeah. I mean, we've got different elements to this. We've got the audience, because obviously it has the live stream, and obviously it sharpens the arguments. It's because the ball earthers have the answers about the globe, about the board. So if you want to know anything, you ask them, right? And you get to challenge them. And yeah, I think it's also I feel sorry for them. I think I'm considering why I spend time with them. I mean, these guys have spent so much time, their entire lives studying something, and I feel that they're lost. They're lost. They don't know where to go, and I just feel like we should help them.
So is it like a sympathy? Is it a sympathy chat with them?
Well, again,
are you giving them chemotherapy?
Yeah, because I don't know. Nathan's dead harsh with them, and it's like once he tells them it's not a ball, they're kind of like, well, what's next? And it's like, well, don't ask me.
Hang on, Spurs. Hang on, Spurs. Hellboy, how do you feel about Chemo patronizing you like this? You know each other a long time as well. Treating you like a child. You don't know what's good for you, and you need to be pampered. How do you feel?
I agree with Chemo that some of these guys, they need Chemo's help. And Chemo left the server for what was it, a couple of months? People were seriously getting withdrawals.
You're a baller, right? You're one of the persons he's sort of persisting with.
Yeah, but I can see the help that Chemo is giving the community of Globers.
So will you accept and embrace his help?
It may not look like say like Jem or Mr. Scott, like when you talk to them, like without the aggression, it's like they get it, but it seems to me their hands are tied. There seems to me there's nothing they can do. It seems they want to say, they just don't want the label of being a flat earther, or like I get a different feeling behind the discussion. So behind all that bravado, you know, when you get down to the questions, then they kind of break, and I feel really bad sometimes asking them again and again. You know, where's the science for this? Where's this? Okay, so have you tested this? And it can be a stress. Yeah, it's a bit of a stress. Not on my part, on their part. I don't mind. I ask this all day long, but them, it's like, because again, we know it's not there. They can't prove something that doesn't exist.
It's interesting. Ranty asked about making progress, whether or not you've made any type of progress. What would be the definition of progress?
So you're strengthening yourself. Because if I look at myself in the beginning, early debate, I lack the knowledge. Now I feel like I can, get into a discussion on these things, and I feel like, look, if people weren't coming to the flat Earth, if we didn't see new faces, new names. Remember, I've been in this from the beginning.
But are we seeing new names, Chemo? Is the new names anywhere?
By the time I've been in this, Ranty, Jimbo's been in this for the longest time. Pete's been in this. We've seen a lot of new people. Yeah, of course. This is crazy because, like I say,
but all right, okay. So, all right, well, let's go back. Let's
5 years. There's lots of new people.
Okay, well, when you say there's what about new content creators? Yes, on the globe side.
This is it, though,
on the globe
man.
side, there is. But what about on the flat Earth side?
Well, this is it. I think there's a certain level or caliber, because not everyone is prepared to talk to a liar or face someone who's going to just tell you lie, and then you have to navigate around that without losing your cool, right? That's hard. Not everyone can do that. So all of the flat earthers that are out there, they think, well, I'm not going to be bothered with these liars. I see it all the time, and that's why we don't see the content, we don't see the debaters, because they just can't be bothered to put up with the games and the obfuscation and the denial and the lies and all this stuff. Whereas I see the bigger picture is that they need to do all of that stuff in order to get the listener to see them for who they are, to expose them. Because remember, they think we're stupid. So if we can reverse that, in my head, I'm thinking, so you think I'm stupid? You think that I don't know what I'm talking about? Let's put it to the test. Let's challenge that. So they focus on what their claim is, without losing my cool. And then what we find is that they're exposed. You know, they've gave everything they can, and we find that it's nothing.
Okay, if Professor, hold on, Pete.
Last point. And I think that's the reason why it's where it is today. Why you're here, everyone in the room is here. It's because of that arguing is where people try to ask the border, give us the answer, they don't, they move on.
So if Professor Phil came in and said, I don't know, satellites are real, right?
Yeah.
He builds them, he sends them up there, and he's actually watched, in his own words, right, a satellite traveling to the moon and looking back at the Earth and sending images back of the Earth in its entirety on its way to the moon, and he apparently has sat there and seen these images for himself. What would you say to that?
Well, I mean, look, we're not crazy, paranoid people. You know, we're not going to just doubt him off the bat. But I mean, I would question him, asking questions, and like I say, what we would find at the end of our discussion is, he can't deliver what we're asking for. So yeah, I mean, if he's saying that he's taking pictures, okay, let's go through the process. You know how you've done that, and obviously, like I say, he wouldn't be able to show exactly what he's done, and therefore we can conclude, that it's just a story.
So after you took them 2011 times Spurs, I mean, are you going to certainly believe him then when he tells the same story without any backing evidence?
So
that's what I'm saying.
So yeah, so when he said this, I said to him, "Can you get some images? Can you prove it? Would you be able to bring it, put it on the show? We can then show it around everyone else. We can go home, put our feet up and say, right, Earth's a globe, right?"
Mm.
And he said, no, we couldn't do that. I said, well, why couldn't you do that? He said, well, because I might get in trouble for doing it.
Right.
I says, why would you get in trouble for showing the... wouldn't you be patted on the back for putting an end to this quote-unquote flat Earth nonsense?
Right.
You know,
Of course.
you wouldn't be thrown in a jail for several years, would you? You know, because you'd be actually doing a favour to the human race, so to speak. So that was my argument. That was my argument. Well, that was my argument, and of course, to date, he still hasn't produced.
No, but Ranty, I want him to say this. As long as he says, listen, Ranty, if he actually showed you how he did it, you know, pictures of the Earth, what he wouldn't be arguing today still now. So the fact that he says, oh wow, you know, I can't do this and I can't do that. Okay, cool. Let's see you tomorrow. We'll ask you the same question. Oh well, I can't do this. I can't do that. What do you think the fence is going to think? That's the point. I'm not doing it for Phil. Well, I know Phil is going down with the ship. There's no way he's going to give up this ghost. And I want this. I don't want him to actually show what he thinks he's able to show. Because, like I said, one, I know he can't do it. And two, like I said, our argument wouldn't be where it is now. If he shows what he's claiming, Flat Earth ends overnight. As long as he doesn't show, he's helping the people who are looking to him for evidence. And like I say, he's useful in this moment for me. Because, like I say, I'm not gonna. He's not gonna be convinced of anything because, like I say, he's been compartmentalized. If he really is doing this and like not part of it, part of the lie, then he's been compartmentalized. And I think the position he's holding is very beneficial to the flat Earth. I mean, for goodness sakes, imagine people started showing rotation, real curvature, real measurement, real picture, uncut, edited all the way around the board. If the ISS showed uncut, imagine that really happened. Imagine we would not be in the discussion that we're in today. So I say more power to Phil.
That's not happening. So where does that leave you, Spurs? Forget about everyone else.
It helps me help the people. Like I said, I'm very helpful. I like to think. I like to help these people understand they've made a mistake. And you've got to have key players. Remember, we're on a chessboard. So you've got flat earthers, we're the pieces. On the other side, you have their pieces. So you can't change their color. You can't change the pieces, can you? Because they've taken their position. But everybody else...
am I the same piece as you? Do we have different designations?
No. They've got their positions, their places, and you've got to be aware of that. If you go into this battle thinking, well, maybe I can convince Phil that, you know, he's made a mistake, you've lost the battle already. Because he's already thinking how he can outdo you, outwit you. He's already thinking that in his head. And you've got to be on your guard to that immediately. And just accept what he's saying and say, let's go through it and let's see what you can do.
But anyone hearing all this nonsense, they're of their own judgment of what they accept as true or false, good or bad information. So you can't help everybody in one stroke. Every individual going to come to it or not on their own based on their own experiences. It's not a magic pill that'll make everyone convert.
Yeah, but do you think that somebody that is adamant that 9/11 happened the way that the mainstream narrative told them it happened is ever going to become a flat earther?
No, people will become flat earthers.
I mean, well, let me phrase that again and just listen to what I just asked you. If somebody's a diehard, the buildings fell because the planes hit them, are they ever going to become a flat earther?
Well, they've got a more open mind, haven't they?
No, they don't have. No, they don't. Chemo, it's the opposite, Chemo. If they believe that the planes brought down those buildings and they fell in their own footprint,
the opposite, yeah. So obviously, if they think it was an official story, then obviously they're going to have a closed mind. I thought you meant if they thought it was conspiracy, yeah. But no, opposite, yeah.
Woohoo! Shout out to the flat fellow for the 99 cent super chat. Much appreciated. If anybody wants to support the show, though, please go over to PayPal I need the money.
I really still think it comes down to the individual. You know, even if someone says, "Oh, okay, 3 planes are hit or 2 planes hit and brought down 3 buildings, 7 buildings," I believe that. So what? It doesn't mean that they won't have experiences, ideas come to them, and other things that may change them in radically. Like I say, most of my life, I believe we went to the freaking moon. You know, and I didn't recognize, like in photography, we have what we call money shots, where everything's placed perfectly for a photograph, as best you can. Anyway, they had money shots all over the moon.
Of course they did. There was no dust anywhere.
They were all money shots.
There was no dust anywhere on that. No dust anywhere.
Remember, with 9/11 and these things, a lot of the people think, why would the government lie? Well, why, if official story is out there, like, why would they go through all this? Why would they go through all this lie? That's what they're not get. What they try to think of.
What do
Why?
you think, Spurs? For fuck's sake, and don't be talking about other people. Remember, even if you're talking about other people, you're just talking about other English-speaking people. Same story applies to us all. What do you think, those Spurs?
About what?
Well, you talk about a chessboard. Is Professor Philbell, because his role is so obvious, is he just like a pawn, a throwaway pawn, an opening pawn? You know, once you get beyond that layer, then you're dealing with the great minds behind, be it the queen or the rook or whatever. You know, not that a pawn hasn't power. Alice Through Looking Glass starts off as a pawn and promotes to a queen. But yeah, have you told your way through this, Spurs? Because you keep talking about other people. Whereas you've been in this 5 years, you have a master's at this stage, and a doctorate nearly, if you specialize in some other topic. So, I mean, where has that led you?
Like I said, it's just brought more peace to knowing who you are, where you are. Because remember, that's been the question that we've all been asking: is why are we here? And
right. But draw me a picture of Earth then. What's Earth? Draw me a picture of Earth.
But you see, I mean, people just aren't naturally open to change. I think that's the main thing. If you look at these globers, they believe the official narrative on everything.
Yeah. Right. Why would they lie to them?
It's actually a physical shock to the system. When people come to the realization and actually get beyond their dissonance, they go into shock sometimes, almost catatonic shock. It's serious, it's real. And some
But
people
as well,
keep
guys,
the CDD not to go through that phase because it is a bad way to be in shock.
They could be acting as well, Jim, for God's sake.
Oh,
no, but it's not even just acting though,
Pete, would you, for the love of
I'm
God.
saying these people could be acting. They might be going into shock. They can't take any argument seriously on board because they're acting a part. They're put into place to protect a lie. What's wrong with
but
that?
not necessarily acting. You're acting though, Pete. Like, people don't have choice, so you can.
Not when you're within a role.
Oh, hold on a
It's
second,
a job.
Pete. So, hold on. So, in that movie with Cypher, when he's like, "Well, I know it's all fake, but he's exercising his free will."
Yeah.
So people are doing that. So they can say, they don't even have to be like straightforward and honest in words, but they just want this world. They say, okay, I know it's a horrible, terrible place, but I'm just satisfied with it. I just want this, and this is what they want. So
they want to be in the.
If you take Scott Beach, for example.
So yeah, they want to be in the Matrix. They want to be in the Matrix. That's what they want. They're happy in the Matrix.
It's not a case of not knowing you're in the Matrix. They know it. They know it's not a globe, but they're saying, in order to have my life, I've got to believe it's a globe. That's the thought process, and then I can live a normal life. So they want it. They're saying, if you take this away from me, I have a different life. I have to follow different rules. But I know about those rules, and I don't want those rules. I want the rules and the laws that I have now. And that's they know this. This is why I say some of the people know this. Like, they know it.
Okay, listen. Well, right. Okay, listen. Let me go back to the moon landing stuff, because Toady in the chat said, and he's talking specifically to Jimbo. I think Jimbo and myself, he says, have not actually looked at the Apollo photographs. There are so many spoiled, badly framed, dusty images. They publish just the good ones from thousands taken per mission. What would you say to that, Jimbo? I've never heard that said, actually. That was funny. It's the first time I've ever heard that. LOL. What would you say, Chemo?
I think these questions are just a stress to even answer without them actually proving their claims first. So it's like, come on, Toady. You've got to prove so much before you even talk about those pictures.
Yeah, explain the tweaker shelter on the moon.
Exactly.
I watched a video where those robots that they'd sent off to the planet Mars, right? And they're supposedly, getting charged up every day and sending data back. Well, apparently, there was only a good signal at a certain time of the day, and they were only able to get like 6 minutes worth of really fast data sent out. Anyway, so it was taking up to, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks to take a panoramic of the landscape there. And the problem was when they did this panoramic, and it's all beautiful bearing in mind, and they say it's been taken by hundreds and thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of images, right, to get this panoramic, because it only takes little slivers. When it got to the to a part that was very visible about being, where the shadow was, let's say, it was casting this shadow, this particular part. And it was taking up around about, I don't know, a quarter of the frame. And the shadow never changed. The shadow stayed in exactly the same place the whole time. Now, if you were taking constant images over an entire week or 2 weeks, because this is how many frames it had to take, and sending that data back, right, then there should have been discrepancies with the shadows.
It's because the sun is so far away compared to the Earth that it takes weeks for a shadow to move on Mars.
Is that what it is? It was. I remember watching it. It was the first thing that I saw, and I just thought, "There's no way that composite was done over a period of several days. There's just no way."
Is the shadows on Mars?
If Mars is an extra 93 million miles away, how can it be as illuminated as Earth is, and work with the same type of cameras and sensors?
Oh well, it doesn't have atmosphere, so it's not dissipating. Yeah.
I thought it had a little CO2 atmosphere.
Yeah, but it's nothing like the Earth's atmosphere that's next to the vacuum.
I liked again Cody's lab and trying to synthesize a Martian vacuum and a Martian storm with a feather in his vacuum chamber. Cody's lab, he failed to prove space and rockets in space and combustion in space, and then he worked hard to make sure it worked by cheating in his future.
I saw a video on that today.
Experiments. What a little fraud. But anyway, his original ones where he tried to combust peroxides, which are explosives, that wouldn't explode in the vacuum chamber. Rock candy and nitrate with iron mixed, solid rocket fuel, if you will, wouldn't ignite, and gunpowder would not ignite. So low explosives and high explosives would not detonate or combust in a vacuum. And in the simulated pressure of the Martian surface in Cody's lab in his vacuum, he was not able to blow a feather tied to a string. Like they show the big storm on, I don't know, grow potatoes and Martian film, whatever it was.
Isn't that what the Cox-Zucker paper is all about? How to blow a feather, Jim, in a vacuum?
I don't know, but space sciences seem to involve a lot of feathers, including feathers on the moon. Now, there's a thing about feathers is they're quills, they're hollow. You can pack epoxy into the inner tube that a feather has, increase tremendously and drop it with a hammer. Be pretty sure it'll hit the same time. Why didn't they use a sheet of paper on the moon? Oh, because it's not from an American eagle. Oh, I see. Right. And golf. Who goes to the moon to play golf? Really? And on one mission, they claim to have brought in explosives and planted bombs on the moon. Really? Okay.
Any greater symbolism, Jim, in the golf ball on the moon? I mean, we know all these games are sort of designed around the greater, I guess, truth, I guess. I'm thinking of a few specific games, which I wouldn't want to go into, but can you think of any significance? What about the game of golf itself and what we actually try to do and achieve? Was that possible?
Golf was invented by gay Scotsmen who wanted to get away from their wives because women weren't permitted anywhere near a golf course and weren't allowed to play.
Okay.
So it was an all-male thing. So it was either male
Jimbo and Randy, if you can answer this. So, how have they kept this a secret? Like, no one from their government, like their institution, like no whistleblowers, no deathbed confessions, no kind of leaks of information. Why do you think that's never? How have they kept it so clean through all these years?
I don't know. You might want to have a seance and ask Gus Grisham.
What's that?
An astronaut who cooked in one of the Apollo cabins there when it caught fire. Him and 2 other astronauts. He's the one who hung a lemon on the door of the capsule.
That's Gus Grissom, yeah. I reckon that's more fakery, Jim. Story within story, right? Fakery within fakery.
Well, I'm just asking all the panelists how they've kept it a secret, how they've kept it so clean. Like, no one's just like, none of the astronauts have said, oh, okay, I'm dying, I need to tell the truth, or something like this.
They've been let in on the truth, Spurs. That's my only explanation. They've been let in on the real reality.
Maybe they're mentally retarded in some way and or hypnotized. Maybe that's why. Maybe they don't have a concept of truth and not truth like we do. They might actually believe that they're going to space. If they get people that are stupid enough to believe that, but smart enough to follow orders, they could trick them into thinking they're actually going into space. These people, they might select people based on certain criteria who are and I'm not talking about like, oh, they're just being stupid. I mean like people who are actually mentally handicapped in the right way for them to convince them they're going to space, but they're smart enough to follow orders.
No, come on, man.
Don Pettit and
if you listen to some of them speak on camera, it seems like that's what it is.
Like Don Pettit looks like he's not all there.
Yeah, he seems like he has a mental block somewhere.
They're very bad actors, but yes, they're all actors.
Even when they're acting badly, like at the post-moon press conference, that's bad acting. It's like you mentioned about the tweaker shelter, Jim. If we know they faked it, so why didn't they fake it to a higher standard, a higher degree? We were already used to movies like 2001: Space Odyssey, etc. So there's a reason behind this, right? Come on.
Because my answer would be, I know it's going to be a bit off. It's more of a spiritual thing. Because I'm thinking there's no way man could hold down secret for for this long. So it's like it's kept guard too well.
I think it's just man and some men trying to play God, basically, by hiding God and making like science and man's knowledge and all these great scientists are the apex of this evolution that happened from the Big Bang.
That means there's millions of men and women working against their fellow man and Jim.
That's the thing, Pete. That's what I think people find hard to believe is that so many.
Right, listen, guys. I'm I'm going to show you this image. I don't know if you've seen this before, and there's a couple of things that I want you to try and understand what's going on here. Right, they're saying that this rover on Mars apparently took the mosaic that you're going to see over a period of 7 days. Right, so this is 7 days worth of over 1,000 images. right, stitched together to create this mosaic, right? Get that. 1,000 images over 7 days, right? I'm going to play the clip now. It's only about 10 seconds as it pans through. But focus on like the dust in the background. Can you see the dust up here? How it's well, you'll just see. Sorry?
It's not loading for me. I'm getting the 2 boxes spinning.
Oh right, okay. Let me go back a few seconds and press play. It might work when I start pressing play. There you go. How's that? No? Do I need to reshare?
We're getting some good answers, by the way, as to how it's been hidden.
I see it.
Oh right, okay, you see it, right, cool.
It's come up now.
Right, okay, so let me just pause it as soon as we get onto it. There we go. So this was taken 1,000 images. The next scene, this scene that you're watching, 1,000 images over 7 days, right? Now, that would tell me that it's taking these images constantly, yeah? 1,000 images over 7 days. But look at the terrain in the background. You've got this, I don't know, sort of like dusty area over there. Just tell me, do you see this dust in the entire image all times? Right?
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's not changing. In my opinion, it looks just the same dustiness the whole time. The shadows on, you see the shadows here?
Yeah, you can see the shadows
right?
on the black sides of rocks too, that they never change either.
Yeah, so let's concentrate on the big shadow as soon as you see it. There we go. So there's a big shadow. Focus on that big shadow as we pan through. It never changes position. That's 1,000 images over 7 days.
It's photoshopped, Ranty, because it has to be.
Right. Now, don't they have day and night at Mars?
You'll have to watch that movie with what's his name there.
If my math is correct, that's only about 6, not even quite 6 pictures every hour. If they took 1,000 over 7 days.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's about a picture every 10 minutes. So that part doesn't seem too hard to believe.
Well, this is what they've sent back anyway, and I've been over this video many times, and I see the same dusty atmosphere in the background that never changes. I see the same hill shadows. Nothing changed. I'm just going to just scroll it back again for you just to watch through again, because I've looked for it. I've looked for something that could tell me that this was taken over 7 days and not just snapped somewhere in a few seconds.
I'd like to see the radio that's transmitting like 93 million miles plus back to Earth. All this data through Martian static and storms and Earth static and storms, solar flares and all this other so-called Van Allen belt. And we're getting a little signal from this little car and its little antennae and its radio, sending out beautiful signals that they can actually send us 3D color pictures. Really? And
So,
we can't make a phone call without dropping between 2 cell towers.
Right.
What's more interesting? Look at the tracks that are on screen at the minute.
Yeah.
How does that conform to perspective? If they're the tracks of the Mars Curiosity rover and we're going into the sort of great distance, it doesn't seem to match up too well there.
Well, possibly. For me personally, being an optics fella, that's what that's why I do here. I just can't believe this was taken over 7 days. I can't believe we got 1,000 images over 7 days. They put a mosaic together, and we had the same atmosphere the whole time, the same shadows, the same everything over 7 days. I can't believe that.
Ranty, putting a picture together of 1,000 photos of Barrow Inverness over 7 days. Imagine the amount of variation there'd be in light and atmosphere and weather and all those things.
Yeah, that's the part that's ridiculous, is that it all matches up that well over the course of 1,000. That's the part that's just stupid.
Stupid. Literally stupid.
Fact is, it looks
Right.
like one
Like,
of Earth's
if you
typical
think that,
places.
nah.
This could be one image that was taken here somewhere with a wide-angle camera, and then they've just told you that it was taken from Mars with 1,000 images over 7 days. But anybody using a bit of common sense will see that nothing changes. The atmosphere is exactly the same. The dust clouds are in the same position. The shadows are in the same position.
Where are the 1,000 images? If they got 1,000 images from this rover and they're releasing this big old panoramic, where's the 1,000 images? Let us see the 1,000 images. Like, what the heck? What are you even doing? We already have them. They're here, right? They're on Earth allegedly. They got to us. Put them on the website. Let us see these 1,000 pictures.
And what's on the screen now, you can almost see just off the tire tracks there. Something looks like it was dragged. And there's a drag mark almost.
Look at how far those tracks in the distance, Jim. Look at it. Look at if we follow the rover down. I think it's on top of a hill, as it looks to me here.
Well,
Those tracks are way too wide.
Yeah, and they look like they've been drawn on CGI.
Right.
They're not parallaxing right, you know?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
make it zigzag a little bit there for effect
Yeah,
there.
I think obviously so as well, right? We're dealing with $52 million a day brains here.
To be honest, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say that probably whatever was driving this they probably did drive it and did create those tire tracks to create a realistic image. If it was photoshopped, it would be too easy to see, but it would be far easier for them to just put that machine, get somebody in it like a buggy, drive it around to this location, and then do the panoramic. And who's going to know any different?
Well, here, Ranty, it's like in the moon photos. The foreground and the lighter brown part of this hill looks like it's in the original photo, and then the darker gray and tracks behind looks like they're cropped in.
Shout out to Lumberjack. He says it's a great show. Indeed, Lumberjack. Thank you. Nice to see you in tonight, Lumberjack. Much appreciated, mate. Cleary says the vacuum of space only exists in Professor Phil Bell's head. Oh, Professor Phil, hop on. Tell us about this.
Keep the shape. Like, I mean, actually, it might be way more difficult for them to get the picture to line up right by driving a real vehicle than it would for them to just slap those bad boys in there.
What shadow are you talking about? You're talking about the shaded aspect of the hill in the background there, is that, or the front?
We were talking about the tire tracks.
So yeah, I mean, I've played this video 100 times. I'm just looking for one discrepancy, one little rock that's rolled down the hill with a bit of breeze. One bit of this sand cloud in the distance that doesn't look the same in every single image. Just something. One shadow that looks out of place. I can't find it. I cannot find a single thing.
Depends what you're looking for, man. I mean, you go into an old, rusty old house with a cupboard in disarray and take a picture over 7 days, nothing's going to change much. But in terms of the atmosphere, how do you know what you're looking at here is something static or, constantly changing? I don't know what you're looking. But that's what I'm asking about the shadow. You're saying the shadow is a convincing factor. Are you talking about the
shadow here where that hill
side?
is? No, this shadow here where my cursor is. See that cursor? See that little mound there? That's got the shadow on it. That never changes.
Shout out.
It's incredible, the light level, 93 million extra miles away from the sun.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Earth's light level. It's just brilliant. It's uncanny.
Shout out to the blue sky above the mountains.
The blue sky. Yes.
It has to be 1,000 images selected at the same time of the day, right? Or whatever. It has to be some stipulation because obviously Mars will experience day and night.
Yeah, but would that create the same haze? Would you still have the same haziness? for 7 days.
Oh, imagine if they did it at the same time of Martian Day every day.
Yeah, but would you have the same?
No.
Would you have the same haze every day? The exact same shadow every day? You know.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be like storms on Mars.
Exactly. Yeah. Storms, breeze, wind.
Yeah. Carbon
They at least could have put in a red sky, right?
Red sky.
You know, if someone could probably find the real actual place on Earth they took this picture and match up every piece of mud.
Who's to say it isn't Antarctica?
Or Devon Island.
Well, yeah, it could be. But I mean, Antarctica, we're not allowed to go there, right?
Or Arizona, it's red. Colorado. You know what Colorado means? Color red.
Australia is red.
Very red.
This could be in the wilderness of Australia.
You ever see one of those videos where it starts off and you're really close up, magnified into the object, and it takes a while for it to sort of make sense. And as the camera sort of zooms out slowly but surely, the overall form and item reveals itself. I have videos of my own channel doing analysis of what we actually see in Mars and what's presented to us as well from NASA and all of the other planets. And my own reckoning is that just as the moon is a reflection, right? All of the other planets are reflections of reflections. And the further you go out, the more zoomed in you are of an aspect of the reflection. That just reminded me of that. That's gone back a few years now. But, well, this is a reflection of solidity. When we look at the moon, it looks solid. So we can understand stepping outside of our earthly understanding, it's obvious to claim that the moon and all others heavenly bodies may be solid. What if they're reflections of solidity? I think this changes everything.
So what
I'm
do you?
going to go on that note and say thanks very much for the link and for the chat, friends.
All right, Pete. Take care.
Okay.
So, is anyone convinced with this? I mean, you know, when you look at this, do you sort of like believe yes, you're looking at a Martian landscape and take pride in knowing that we sent something to this place? I mean,
no.
I believe, if I recall correctly, now this is going, I mean, I haven't looked this up for 10, 15 years or whatever from when I actually saw this, because I was dead into it when they were when these things were supposedly sent to Mars. I think it was something like they sent these things in like a ship or whatever to get there, and then they had some parachutes that were supposed to open, and then when they got to a certain height, all these balloons opened up or something around it to cushion the rovers, and they bounced and bounced and bounced around the Martian landscape until they came to a rest. Now, that's what I recall them saying. I don't know if that is the official thing that they tell us now, but that's what I remember. Is that the story you guys remember about how they got those things there to land without crashing?
Absolutely. I remember that.
Yeah, I think that was it. just the engineering that would need to go into that, and the idea that it surrounds itself with all these bouncy inflated balloons all around it. Oh, and then the rover just steps out. Like, come on.
Yeah. It landed right side up, apparently.
Oh, well, that was lucky. I mean, well, how many positions could it have landed? It could have landed on its roof, on its back, on its front, on its side, on its other side, or upside. So it was a 1 in 6 chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of lucky.
Nancy, do you understand how that you clearly don't understand how they created that Martian video?
Do you want to tell me then?
Yes, for a start, you were saying why doesn't it show night and day?
Yes.
They took the pictures over a period of 2 hours every day, so it was only 2 hour interval. So it was over 4 days, and in the 2 hours.
It was over 7 days. It was 7 days.
No, that's not what it says in the thing.
It was 7 days. It was from the 24th, 24th to the 1st. Let me just bring it up. There we go. Curiosity between November the 24th and December the 1st. That's 7 days, Rumpus.
Okay, let me just have a quick look. What do you seem to be looking at today? I'm sure I just read a moment ago.
I've got it on screen. I've got the capture, the subtitles on, so that everyone can see it.
Oh, well, somewhere else it said. Well, it says in the I don't know which bit you're looking at. It says it required more than 6.5 hours over the 4 days for Curiosity to capture the individual shots. I don't know which paragraph you're looking at.
It's on the subtitles that I've put up. If you want to look at the screen.
Let me just see what you're putting up.
Shout out to Cleary. Says, son of a Veach didn't deny his father was MK Ultra'd. Thank you for the super chat there, Cleary. Well, you're smashing it tonight, mate. Much appreciated, mate. So, yeah, so this says it was taken over 7 days, and it says there was 1,000 images taken.
Okay, well the text. Oh, you're just looking at the video. I'm looking at the web page. And that web page says, and obviously you read it. The web page says it required more than 6.5 hours over the 4 days for Curiosity to capture the individual shots.
So how many?
Right,
so how
okay,
much?
So in other words,
right. So let me get this out. So the the shadows take how long to to move in what, a couple of hours? How much of the degrees would you get of the shadows moving?
You tell me. You're the one making the claim.
I'm not making a claim. I'm denying it's real.
It should move, so you should have some idea.
I'm denying it. I'm denying that this is a real image taken from Mars.
Your claim is that the shadow should move by such and such.
No, I didn't say that. I said I asked. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I asked you how much. I asked you. I asked you.
Expect the shadows to move.
Just answer the question. Come on, Rumpus. How much should they change?
You made the claim. Don't put it
how much should they change?
If you're making the claim the shadow should move, you should know how much they should move.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll look it up then.
Right, okay, well, while you're doing that, because you love not to answer questions, I would actually be prepared to go and work it out, but the point is...
Right, so the Mars day length is 1 day and 37 minutes, so not far off hours, really.
Over a day,
so, so you're looking at about, what, 14.5 degrees every hour? Something like that, of the shadow movement. So over 2 hours, it should change about 30 degrees, there or thereabouts, 29 degrees. So... where's this 29 degrees of movement that we see in any of the shadows?
Well, the point is, when it takes the picture, it'll take. I mean, it's got this. What it's taken consists of 1,000 shots or something. Now, the slice that it's going to take is going to be whatever it finds at that time. Now, the question then is, how well do the bits join up? If there is some slight movement.
What about this this haze in the background, Rumpus, that's always constant? No, this isn't shadows, this is haze that's always the same.
Well, it's dust, presumably.
This dust that never moves the entire time.
Well, how do you know? When they came to take it, it'll take the picture of the dust as it exists when it takes it. So the only thing you'd perceive as a problem is if somehow it didn't join up properly.
No. What you'd expect to see is like it was maybe pretty dusty on this day, and then the next day it wasn't quite so dusty, and then the following day it was
they do have
rather clear.
Storms on Mars.
Well, this wasn't a storm because nothing moved. No rocks fell down.
Hold on.
Nothing.
You do know the Martian atmosphere is 1/50th. Nothing blows around except the atmosphere, except little bits of dust. Rocks do not move on Mars. Not even there's nothing to move except for the when water flows down the sides of some of the craters. which happens very infrequently.
So how do you know this? Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
You've been there.
This is ludicrous. He's talking like he
Um,
knows.
Yeah, good luck flying a drone in 1/50th atmosphere as well, Rumpus. You know that little $80 million drone that's buzzing around there now?
Not to mention
Yeah,
they
and
haven't even proven that they can
they had a
create
huge
pressure
problem with
here
that.
on Earth, let alone talk
had-
about anything that goes on Mars.
They had a huge problem with that, but don't forget the gravity as whatever it is it 1/3?
They had a huge problem, did they? It hasn't even arrived there yet, you muppet.
Yeah, I'm talking about the design of it, you moron. I never said. You were the one who claimed there was supposedly a drone there. I didn't.
Hey Rumpus, have you
I'm
ever
talking
seen
about
that
the
Skunk
design
Bay?
of the thing, you moron.
Have you ever seen that Skunk Bay footage? I just watched it today. It was kind of cool.
I have seen that occasionally,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Okay.
But I don't quite know what the relevance is. But the point is that they do have long-lasting storms on Mars, and the atmosphere, nothing gets blown
No,
around.
they don't.
Oh my god!
You have no way to prove that whatsoever.
Well, of course we do. We have pictures of Mars. We've got rovers been there taking pictures of it.
I have a picture of Superman.
Yes, but that doesn't. We can verify.
Darth
these
Vader.
We've got multiple independent sources of evidence for these storms. We can take.
Superman has his own comic book.
Listen. Telescopes on the Earth.
No, we're not going to listen. You're talking nonsense.
Listen and learn.
No.
Listen to the evidence. Yeah, no, you want to just not listen to the evidence. I know, but you're going to have.
You can't even prove what's going on here on Earth, let alone on a different planet.
Tell you, we
Oh,
can
Randy,
see
can you shut this guy up?
Okay,
Listen.
Please, Randy.
Hold on,
We don't
Paige.
need to
Hold on,
listen.
Paige. Hold on, Paige. Hold on,
Listen,
Paige.
you moron. We can see these storms from Earth.
He told you
Right.
before
Okay.
that he's not here. He's here to call you an idiot, and that's it.
Right.
From Earth.
No,
Right,
you
Rumpus.
can't.
Rumpus. Do you want to see this? This. I'm sharing my screen. I'm showing you something different. So,
Yeah, in the meantime, Rumpus, what is causing the storms on Mars?
When I say they're storms, they are just movements of the atmosphere.
Why are you letting him beg the question?
Oh, come on.
God.
And you're just rejecting evidence, Paige. We can see these
Rumpus.
from Earth. I know you
You
don't
don't know what they are,
We can
Rumpus.
see the storm from Earth. What are you showing? What are you trying to
Right,
show?
You see
so-
what you think is a storm.
Right, I want to.
You don't even know
see
how
the
plumb
dust, we
bobs
can
work,
see-
Rumpus.
Well, we
Jesus.
can see the rovers We can see the rovers showing us the dust storm on the
Oh,
planet,
God.
and we can see
Oh,
the same
rubbish.
dust storm.
No,
on
you
Earth.
can't.
Right, listen. I wanna have a chat with Rumpus for a couple of minutes. Just hold on a sec, guys. So, right, this is from NASA. So this is them showing the capsule entering the atmosphere. Do you actually believe? I'm going to play the video. Do you actually believe that this is an exact replica of what actually happened? This speeding
Well, it's close, it won't be exact.
capsule, and then what happens is it fires these parachute or a parachute out, right, to try and slow its descent, right?
Yeah, that was one of the systems. Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously the parachute pretty crap there because as you just said that there's no atmosphere. So the parachute does next to bugger all.
Well, they have to have a huge one. Yeah, I mean that's why it doesn't decelerate. That's why they have a big problem landing on Mars because the atmosphere is so thin. They can't use the atmosphere to decelerate. That's why the last mission, where they had a substantial body, they had to have a rocket bit at the bottom, where just before it landed, it had to fire off some rockets to sort of suspended above the ground, or to at least decelerate properly because
in no atmosphere
Oh my
with
God! Shut up.
rockets that can't work
speak
in
when you want.
space.
Just stop interrupting for once, and then speak when
No,
you get a
I'll
chance.
interrupt you
can
whenever I
speak-
feel like.
Yeah, well, you're uncivilized, uncouth. Try and behave properly for a moment.
Yeah, because you
You'll get
came
a
and
chance.
told
You
us
can
you were
ask-
So-
only here
speaking and
to
you can
call
speak in a
Ranty
second.
an idiot. So
Okay,
I
so-
have no respect for you at all.
So let's hear what he's got to say
I'll
about
go to
this.
you whenever I feel like.
Well, okay, you can behave
So-
like an uncivilized, uncouth man. That's up to you.
So here we go, Rumpus. So this is just inflated. I mean, what we're looking at: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 balloons, 6 there and 6 there, and probably 6 on the other side, 24. So, so this happened, right? Okay, and then we're going to watch the landing. Oh, they fired rockets. I forgot about them firing rockets as well. I mean, this is really technical. right? This is really, really technical. This, I mean, you know, if we go back, they had the entry. Then we had a one parachute. Then we had a second parachute. Then they had the balloons popped out. Then the rocket engines came on. Right, right, yeah, and then it bounced.
It's a video game. It's a video game.
I know you find technology intimidating. You can't cope with it, but you know that's
fucking hilarious.
Dickhead Rumpus, you are a
dickhead. This is why it costs hundreds of millions of dollars to do this sort of thing.
Guys, check the general chat quick.
You do know we have rockets. You know, we have things with rockets in this.
There it is.
Sure you do. Sure you do, darling. You go off and play with your rocket. Off you go.
And then, like a butterfly, it just opens up.
Isn't it beautiful?
That's what happens when you've got gravity that's only, was it 1/3 or something? I can't remember this.
Now you know the gravity on Mars as well.
Yeah, of course we do. We've been there.
Yeah, the gravity.
How are you flying that? How are you going to fly that?
Up or helium.
How are you going to fly that drone around in
We've
2% atmosphere,
we had
Rumpus?
instruments there that can measure it, and we can also work out what it should be just from the
How are you going to fly a drone in 2% atmosphere? How would you do that, mate?
If you guys look in general chat, you'll see some evidence, according to Rumpus, that I have been to another planet.
Okay, right, okay.
Couple of images there.
I see it. One sec.
It is troublesome. They had to spin it very quickly, the little drone.
Troublesome.
Oh,
very
quickly.
So
They're big
have
numbers.
To create
Very quickly.
these fantasy scenarios.
Gravity,
So
it does
troublesome.
make it, you have to. The gravity fighting is a lot less than you have to deal with.
It was a grassy planet, and the temperature was
Smoke doesn't have
almost
to fight
25
with
degrees
gravity at all.
I
Celsius.
appreciate
It just
you
goes
find
up.
technology impossible. I mean, you don't understand basic bits of science, and this is another
We
thing
find
you don't understand.
fantasy impossible, Rumpus. Fantasy. That's what we struggle
that's
with.
why it's called fantasy.
You just don't accept
It's not
technology.
reality.
You can do clever things. You don't accept.
That's not technology. That's CGI, Rumpus.
You're just decades behind.
Listen, how?
I would like to see.
Okay,
I would like
I have
to
a
see
question.
a chamber with 98% of the atmosphere sucked out of it, and then
Listen.
fly a drone in it.
Listen, I have a question. Hold on. I have a question. Rumpus, how are we going to send men and women to Mars if this is how we're gonna land them?
Right, you don't seem to understand. Are you aware of how they did the last? You're clearly not aware how they did the last lander.
Can you imagine being inside that thing? My God.
It's like a Disneyland ride.
You'd be puking your guts up.
You're not aware how they did the last landing.
Boing.
Boing. They did the last landing.
Boing.
It's fucking hilarious. They didn't. Yeah, exactly.
They didn't.
Okay, so right. Okay, so
you know how they did the last landing.
well, I'm sure you're going to tell us.
Right, and you see the mechanism that you described in this video. You saw a stage where there was a little bit of
Yes, we did see a stage.
You be quiet, twat. You saw the little bit where there was a rocket.
Rockets, yes.
They did that on a much larger scale, and then for able to lower the lander. I can't. Was it the? I've forgotten the bloody name of the damn thing now.
Why are they worried about putting a hole in that parachute to let the excess air out if there's only 2% atmosphere?
And so it landed perfectly. It was because it was a much larger vehicle. It couldn't go through all this stuff. And it was able to then land, and then it sort of ejected itself with a final fling to the side.
Nice story, bro.
Amazing.
Well, I'm afraid
Cool story.
You just don't understand technology. You are ignorant and stupid. What can I say?
I understand what we are able to do and what we're not able to do.
You've no idea how any engineering thing works. You've no idea how a plane works, for Christ's sake. You've no idea how a computer works. You've no idea how any electronics work. You don't even know how the electricity works in your house. You don't even know how your boiler works. You know nothing about modern world and technology. And this is far advanced. This is the tip of the iceberg of our knowledge. And you don't even understand the stuff that
you don't even realise you need containment for air pressure. Like basic. You
That's
don't even
how
know
dumb you
water
are.
is horizontal. basic,
You don't even know how
primary
plumb bobs
school
work.
level geometry and primary school physics, and you're denying it. Like literally the most basic thing that any human is taught, and you deny it.
Do you accept gravity? Do you accept gravity? The force of, there's an acceleration downwards.
Gravity doesn't need to be accepted, right?
Smoke.
Getting people to
Smoke.
accept
Rumpus.
something.
It does
Smoke.
You should be incredible.
Where
incredible
is the 9 point? Where is the downward acceleration for smoke?
Well, there's a buoyancy effect there. You do you understand, by
Pulling
the way?
it down. So there is no downward.
Do you understand?
So there is no downward direction.
Do you understand? Do you
Answer my question. Answer my question.
I'm about to give you a...
No, answer the question.
Answer the question.
Does smoke have a downward direction?
Because I'm trying to, but you're just interrupting me.
Smoke have... It's just a yes or a no.
Question, now you're interrupting me.
It's just a yes or no.
You're not letting me answer the question. Right.
It's just a yes or no.
You're still interrupting me. You're still interrupting me. Right.
Yeah, because it's just a yes or no.
We've got an echo. Hold on.
You just want to overtalk and interrupt because you're not interested in the facts. You're not interested. You're not interested in an answer, are you? You're not interested. No, you see, you're not interested. There we go. There
right.
we go. You've just
frankly, I'm not interested in any more from you either, Rumpus.
You embrace your
I think most people have had their
about density.
We had to vote. I think
right. Okay. Listen. This isn't helping, guys. This isn't. This is not helping, right?
You're ignoring basic physics that you need containment for air pressure. Basic physics, like 5-year-olds can.
Physics, but you're too busy shouting and screaming and not listening. Right? Do you understand? Here we go. Here we go. You see, you just will not stop talking, will you?
Right.
So here we go. Here's the answer. So no, you're right. The thing is, you can't conduct yourself in a civilized manner. I'm trying to give you an answer. Try listening. Try understanding. Try listening. Try listening. I'm explaining the answer. I'm in the process of explaining the answer to you, but you won't take any interest in it. No, you won't. You see, you won't let me an answer. You just said it. You won't let me an answer. You won't let me give you an answer. You won't let me give you an answer. There we go. Right.
Right, Rumpus. Can you be quiet for just a sec? Rumpus, can you be quiet for a minute? Paige. Yeah. Well, if you be quiet, I've got something to say. So, yeah, Rumpus. And Paige, you've got a terrible echo because you keep leaving your gate open. So when you two are around, it's just in, you can't listen to a single word you're saying. There we go.
Right, okay. I would like to actually get a few seconds to speak. People don't seem to understand, mostly flat earthers.
Why are we even letting him speak?
Because I want him to speak. I want him to come in and tell us his model.
Right, so people do not understand, flatties don't understand, that you can be accelerating downwards even though you're going upwards. So, for instance, when you throw a ball
fuck me, come on! Honestly, we're going to let him do this, are we?
Be quiet.
Accelerating down.
Dearie me, what a twat. When you throw something up, dearie me, this
my God, Ranty, that's ridiculous, letting him say things go down, but...
No, I didn't say things. Listen. You see, you didn't listen because you don't understand because you're stupid.
Right, say it again. Say it again, Rumpus.
Finish the sentence here. So when you throw something up in the air and it comes back down eventually, in the process of it going up, it is decelerating. So even though it's traveling upwards, it is decelerating at 9.8 meters per second. So things can go upwards but still be decelerating, and eventually after a time that deceleration will cause it to become motionless and then it will reverse its direction. So there's something you need to think to bear in mind when you keep on saying
you threw it in the air, you twat.
It doesn't matter what happened, how it started off going up in the air. The point is that you don't understand that decelerating
of course
can be going
it
upwards.
Matters.
No, you don't understand. So things going upwards can still be decelerating. That's what you need to understand. And I can't remember the exact how this is relevant to the point you're making, but that was basically the problem you were having.
Is this what we have to understand?
You never have anything relevant to the points we're making.
Okay, so you're Rumpus. Can you answer Rumpus? We understand.
You based your argument.
Do we see the ball? Rumpus. Do we see the ball or do we understand it?
Right, so
Just
let's
answer me this one question, Rumpus.
Right
Do
the
we
hand, go
see
ahead.
the ball and interact with it, or do we understand it as it's told to us?
I missed the start of your question.
Oh, here. Do we see and interact with the ball physically, or do we verbally understand what is told to us?
That's gibberish. I'm not going to answer that in gibberish.
Okay, so here, I'll try and explain it. When you tell me a story about something I can't interact with, I have to just understand your words. Like if you were trying to describe
witness it.
you're talking. If I was trying to describe Bigfoot and you couldn't see him, right? I would be like, he's a big hold on, let me finish. He's a big, hairy guy. Do you understand what I'm talking about? And you'd be like, yeah, I understand. On, you're interrupting, Rumpus.
Yeah, I know, but
You
everyone's
just
been
got on
interrupting me.
page
I
for
thought
not
I was
your
responding
Rumpus. You're doing
kind.
the same thing. You're
I know,
not
it's
even
very
listening to
annoying,
what I
isn't
say.
it?
You're just talking when I talk.
I know it's annoying. I'll stop it in a second, but I'm just making a point that how
Okay,
players
but
behave.
yeah, no, I don't
Carry
want
on.
you to make a point. I
Carry
want
on.
you to
Okay, carry on.
Okay, so you're just don't say okay, just stop talking. So I can if I told
He's
you about
doing what Fight the Flat Earth did to Nathan.
come on, I don't need other people interrupting me. So do we understand what Bigfoot is, right? I understand but he's not real. So when you're telling me I need to understand what you say, that doesn't make it real.
It does, because I can show you evidence of exactly what I said happening. And if you don't understand that things can be going up yet decelerating, then obviously you need to go back to school and join the other 13-year-olds who do understand this.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Hang on. Hang on, guys. Hang on. Please don't distract, please. So when I see a rock fall, do I observe the rock fall or do I understand that the rock fall? What did I do there?
Both, hopefully.
Oh, so observing a rock fall is understanding that a rock falls?
Well, it leads to understanding, hopefully.
Oh, okay, hang on. But we're just talking about the observation. Is an observation understanding?
Well, you can do things like understand that you're having an observation, but if we're talking about the concept of acceleration, then the observation, well, you can say that your observation, you could directly from your observation, without having to understand anything, you can simply say an object is at this height, at this time, and then at this height next, and some later time, and so that observation means you don't need to understand it. You witnessing acceleration through your observation directly. There's no understanding required through that observation to say that is accelerating. It's a fundamental part of the observation that you can see that it's accelerating or not.
Okay, so your evidence. Hold on, hang on, bro. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Okay, so your evidence. When you say you have evidence, right? You have an observation, right? You see the rock fall, but then you just said that the observation, which is your evidence, is not understanding. So you're doing a lot of double checking right now. Hang on. That's why you were flip-floppering about whether an observation is understanding. Now, do you have observations, which are empirical things you see, or do you have understanding, which is mental processes?
We have both.
Okay, so now no, you can have both. Now, can you show me understanding? No, you can only show me the rock fall, right? You can't show me understanding. You can only show me a rock fall. Do you agree?
And show you understand. Well, your understanding is something that you have. I can't give you understanding.
So when you say that somebody understands, all you're talking about is their personal beliefs, right?
Well, no. Well,
it is what you just said, Rumpus. So now, yeah.
Well, you're
exactly.
Just, well, stupid point.
No, that's your. But it's your point. It's
science understands what's going on.
So now science understands.
So science proves things now.
Okay, hang on. So Rumpus? What is understand? Explain it. Is it a mental process?
Yes.
Okay, so science does a mental process. How does science do it? Hang on. Don't interrupt. Don't be a twat. How does science, which understands, which is a mental process, how does that establish anything?
The literature that science provides is the understanding that a person would have having once understood. Well, if they understand the literature, they will understand the explanations that science gives.
Okay, but science is a thing made by people. And if you say each person can understand differently, then science isn't understanding. We're all kind of gathering around one person, right?
No, it's verified, peer-reviewed. So
Okay, well, no, hold on. When you
it's
say
not a
no,
peer
you
review.
just hold on. You just threw more words out. Now, verified and repeat. We have the rock falling. That's the observation. Verification, don't need that because we have the observation. Repetition, we don't need that. We have the observation. We're talking about understanding. Now, when you say understanding why the rock falls, we don't see the understanding. That is a personal thing. Now, you believe.
So what?
Hang on. And I'll explain, because you believe that if you understand that the earth is pulling the rock down, then everybody should understand what you personally understand, which is your belief about what you see.
No, I appreciate that you're too stupid to understand it. That's not a problem.
Okay, but you just said that understand is a mental process that you alone have. So we both see the rock.
I don't alone have it.
Hang on. We both see the rock fall. You understand it as the earth pulls it down because it's big. Einstein understood it as space-time is bending because the earth is big. Darwin understands it as density disequilibrium. Now, these are all different understandings of the exact same empirical observable event, which is the rock falling. Now, understanding, when we look at it in this context, is nothing more than an individual's personal belief about what they see.
Yes,
this is why you use the words like understand.
So in other words, if someone has the opinion that 1 + 1 is equal to 3, that's equally valid as someone saying 1 + 1 is equal to 2, is it? Of course it is.
Well, hang on.
So, hold on.
No,
hang on.
You switched.
You've been speaking quite a lot here. I'd like a few seconds. I would like a few seconds. You've been speaking for the majority of the time. Now, I would like. You seem to think, as many idiots do, that every opinion has equal value. No, it doesn't. Science is special. It goes and checks all its opinions.
There it is, the special boys.
Hold on, let me
special
finish.
Boys.
Stop, be quiet, twat. I've barely spoken for the last 5 minutes. So the science checks and has multiple independent people and institutions checking its work. The peer review process makes sure it's not just some individual's opinion or some whim that they've had. This has been verified by experiment or logic or whatever. So it's not.
The special boys are checked by other special boys.
Be quiet, twat. So there's not of equal value. So when science, hold on. So when science decides that something is the way it is, that's not a whim.
Science hasn't decided it. Men have decided it.
It's the result of multiple people being verified, peer-reviewed, and evidence, experiments used as part
the
of
boys' club.
So there we go.
Okay, so here, this is my problem with that, Rumpus. Now, we have the rock falling. Now, nobody can do anything more than we see the rock falling. You can measure, but we don't have the unseen. We don't see the earth pulling it down. That's your understanding based on what we do see. Now, you keep talking about these other experiments that prove what you believe, but it doesn't. We see the rock fall. Now, that's everything we have. We only have the rock falling. Now, you get the earth pulling. Hang on. You get the earth pulling it down. Einstein got space-time bending. Darwin got disequilibrium. I have my own thing. So that's 5 different understandings. Now you're going to say, well, it's peer review. Hang on, let me finish. Let me finish. Don't be a twat. Don't be a twat.
Yeah, yours is definitely not of equal value.
Come on, let me finish. Okay. So you're saying it's peer reviewed. You can't peer review the rock falling. Everybody sees the rock falling. Now, if you have your own personal beliefs on why the rock falls, that cannot be peer reviewed. That's your personal beliefs. The only thing everybody, which is peers, can do is watch the rock fall. We can't review why you think it falls. That's a ridiculous thing to say.
No, you don't. Well, I mean, you just didn't understand basic science.
Oh, well, now you're back to the understanding, which is the mental process.
Stop being a twat.
But you just said mental process is understanding, which is different from person to person.
Now you're interrupting me. The point is that if you have an understanding of what's going on, you can make predictions as to what will go on. So all Arwin's predictions will fail. He doesn't understand buoyancy, density, etc., or gravity. All the predictions that science makes are validated and verified, so we know they're correct. You committed
another problem. Hang on. Your next problem.
Your understanding of it will be validated. When we ask you to make a prediction about something that's going to happen or not, you will get it wrong. Science.
No, here. This is where you're wrong.
They can predict the vector relative density disequilibrium
as being wrong, and science is as being correct.
Okay, let me explain what here. So listen. We see the rock fall. Now, everybody who watched the rock fall got accurate measurements. We all got the same measurement, okay? So there is no science getting a specific. We all have the same information from the rock falling. Now, from that information, Einstein comes up with space-time bending, which makes the accurate predictions because it's 9.8. Arwin will come up with his, which will make the accurate predictions because it's based on what he sees. And yours will also make the accurate predictions because your understanding of why it's happening doesn't affect how it happens. So we all have accurate predictions,
No,
but
you
we
don't.
all have
That's
different
an
understandings.
That's
Because, Kahan, you're
absolutely
interrupting.
incorrect.
You're doing exactly what you hate. So
Well,
what
you
you're
keep on-
saying,
yeah, like, as
hang
long as
on.
you go long, you're allowed
Let
to
me
go on
hang
for.
on. I'm not done. Nearly there. I'm nearly there,
Okay,
Rumpus.
okay.
So what you're saying is that 5 different people can all have the exact same mathematical calculations with different understandings, which
No, they
means the
can't.
understanding is useless and different from person to person. And the only thing that is empirical is measuring the rock's descent.
No,
Why you
Arwin-
believe it,
Arwin will be
that's on you. That's your personal belief.
Arwin will be completely incapable of coming up with some theory that delivers 9.8 meters per second. So will you. You will be
No,
incapable.
no.
You will
We
be
both
We've
have the
already
same.
incapable.
I
got
have a
the
theory that is
9.8.
9.8. It's the same thing.
Me
It's
a
the
method
bro.
by which
Newton
that
had
value
mass attracting
comes
mass.
about.
Einstein had space-time
Go on, then.
bending.
You
It's
show
all the
me
same
how
thing.
your understanding leads to an acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared. Go ahead.
You can't show us the
understanding is a
mechanism
personal
either.
belief.
Rumpus, you
No,
can't show us
hold on. Let's just deal with.
gravity.
I want to deal with right the hand. I'll come back to you in a minute, Page. So
You're
right the hand. You
How
just
long
claimed.
till other people might
You've
predict
just claimed
hey,
that
maybe,
your
an hour
method
or
will
two and
result
the
in the
show after
same results and the
Yeah,
same
it'd be
prediction.
nice.
Yes,
Could
it's
you
Narnia
please
dust.
Show me your working and your formulas, please.
It's Narnia dust.
Okay, so all of the formulas that you use came from watching reality. You didn't manifest a formula in your head. You dropped a rock, measured, timed it, and then used reality to make a formula. So we can all make the exact same formula from the exact same rock falling. Now, the
So
next
we've got
thing that
exactly the same formulas
hang
in
on, let me
science, have
finish,
we?
Rumpus. Rumpus, let me finish. Let me
Okay.
finish. Now, let me finish page 2. Come on. So do we all have the same formula? Now, we're all going to go, why does that formula happen? And you're going to say, because the Earth is big and pulls it down. Einstein's going to say, because the Earth is big and bends space-time. Arwin's going to say, because air and the object interact. And I'm going to have a different one. So we all have the exact same formula. But we hang on, I'm not done. Nearly there. Nearly there.
I'm
We
gonna
all
say
have,
it's
I'm nearly
because
there.
you picked up
I'm
the
nearly
rock
there.
and you
I'm almost
dropped
there.
it and you blame
We have the
gravity
exact
as
same
the
formulas,
Okay.
but we have 5 different
fall.
understandings.
Okay, right the hand. Could you please tell me what your formula is? Could you please tell me what your formula is for the acceleration of an object
Okay. Now
in
you
Earth's atmosphere? Please, could you give
now
me
Theoretical.
the only
Theoretical.
Rumpus, listen, I don't need help.
You said you
I'm a
had
pretty
a
smart guy.
formula. Could you please
Listen
tell me
here.
what it
Listen.
is?
Don't interrupt and listen.
Oh,
Where
you're
we get
interrupting
the
me. I
okay,
haven't already
listen,
spoken.
Rumpus, you're not listening. You're just nonstop talking.
Well, I asked you a
Please stop
question.
talking and listen. Be respectable.
Well, how about you doing the same?
No,
thing?
no, come on,
I
Rumpus.
listen when you talk. Now, please listen when you asked me a question. You said, how would I get this formula?
Right.
Now, I would get the formula the same way anyone else would. They would get a rock in reality and they would drop it and time it. And they would figure out, based on watching this rock in reality, the time it took for it to fall. And they would get all of those numbers, not with an understanding of a model, but with an observation of reality. So when you think that an understanding of a model makes the predictions, you're wrong.
Could you
It's the
show me your
observation
formula,
in
please?
reality, which we can all do.
Right, if you can all do it, then can you please show me the formula that you believe is responsible for accelerating objects in Earth's atmosphere?
Formulas don't. A formula is not responsible for. Hang on, let me finish. You asked me a question, Rumpus. Let me finish. Rumpus, stop. Please
he's
stop
answering
talking
your
when I'm
question.
talking. Rumpus,
He's
you ask me a
answering.
question. I start talking, and then
you said you
He's
had a
answering the
formula.
question.
No, I listen to
Can you please
Rumpus.
show
You
me
have
your
to be.
formula? You said
Okay,
you
you-
had one. Please show me.
Rumpus.
Okay.
He's answering your question. He's answering you. He can't get his word in.
He had a formula and he's not forthcoming with it.
Hold
He
on.
hasn't got one, has he?
Hold on.
Stop protecting him, Ranty.
Rumpus, don't make me mute you. Don't make me mute you.
Are you protecting him?
I don't think Chris needs protecting Rumpus.
Well, he is. Rant is protecting him here.
Right, I'm waiting for you to shut up so that I can ask him. Right?
Okay.
There we go. So are you going to shut up now?
I will.
Right, good. Right, okay, so you were asked a question there. Right the hand. Have you got a
So
response?
we have the formula. It's 9.82 meters per second. How do we
That's
know
not a
it?
formula.
We've observed it in reality. Now,
That's not
hang
a
on.
formula.
Let me, Rumpus, stop interrupting. You're just showing how you don't have a good argument. Now, when you say, where is the formula? The formula came from reality. Yes, I agree that things fall at that rate. You can't argue because you can go out there and check it for yourself. Now, where does the disagreement happen? When you start telling me why your understanding of that formula comes into play. Because it doesn't. Because if you, hang on, let me finish. If you suddenly went brain dead, which you probably are, and had no understanding of the formula, it would still fall at the exact same rate. So your personal understanding of the rock is irrelevant to the formula that the rock to the accelerated rate that the rock falls at. Now you can put a formula to it if you wanted to. You can write some numbers. That doesn't mean the Earth is pulling it down.
This, Ever? Right, my turn, finally. Right. So when you said that's not a formula, that's just the observation. I'm asking you, and if you remember what the question was, it was the formula for the acceleration. That is the cause of that acceleration. So I'm asking you to give me the equation that leads to the acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared. Could you please
Okay,
provide
so you're
that formula?
hang on. You are 100% wrong if you think a formula is the cause of acceleration.
There is a formula.
Okay,
for that
hang on. Do you think that a formula is the cause of acceleration? Yes or no?
It describes it.
No, but it's not the cause, right?
It describes the causes.
Oh, but is it the cause?
It describes the cause. That's all.
But is it the cause?
So
it's not the cause.
I told you it wasn't.
So it's not the cause. So you agree the formula is so it's not the cause.
It describes the cause. It models
so it does.
the
So
cause.
is it the cause? Okay, hang on, Rumpus. Yeah, I know.
Okay, so let him answer the question. Let him ask the question.
What we say.
It describes the causes. It models.
Wait, okay. So how does that describe the cause? What is the cause in 9.82 meters per second? What's the cause?
That you claimed to know.
No, you're saying you have the. I'm saying you're only describing what you see.
Yes.
Hang on.
And you
I'm
said
saying
you did as well.
Oh my God. I'm saying you don't have the
Checkmate
cause.
is coming, Rumpus.
I'm saying you don't have a cause. You have a description of what you see. Now you're saying you have cause. So so what's the cause?
What's the difference? For the cause is the acceleration due to gravity, which is due to
no
the bending of space-time.
Okay, what's the difference between an observation of a rock fall? Hang on, this is the key. This is where we're at. This is the key. Do you have an observation of a rock falling when you see the rock fall, or when you see the rock fall, do you have the cause of the rock falling?
You just have an observation.
Okay, so you don't have the cause.
But we know what the cause is. We've worked it out.
Oh, but how do you know what the cause is if you only have an observation?
Because we've got lots of independent observations working in different ways that show that our underlying, that's what a theory is. It describes the causes.
Theoretical mathematics.
Hold on. He's just but you said no. Hang on, Rumpus. You said observations. You said observations are not causes. You don't observe cause. You observe the effect, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So if the only thing we can observe is the effect, how do you get the cause?
Because you then say, this is what the cause is, and then you test it in various observations and experiments to see if your theory is correct. The whole point about science is it makes predictions using the theories that you've decided account for these causes and effects, and then you say, oh, look, I'll go to a different situation and see if the theory, the underlying...
How do you do that?
Be quiet. Okay. And you going using experiments over a wide variety of things, you say, let's see if this thing that drops in the atmosphere falls in the same way, and if we assume that mass is a universal thing and that the gravitational force is universal, then the moon will behave in the same way as well. So we then apply predict this theory to these two situations and see if they give the right results, and they do. So therefore we say, we do have an understanding. And then of course Einstein came along and said, well actually there's this orbit of Mercury doesn't quite match the Newtonian model, and he then modified that and generated a more accurate model, a more accurate equation for what actually happens.
Okay, so you got off on a tangent. You got off on a tangent there, Rumpus. Rumpus, you went off into the weeds.
Nearly there.
But you're not. You're talking cause and effect, and you're talking Mercury.
Nearly there. So science makes predictions using the theories at its disposal, and it tests those against the real world and see if they work. And if they work, we say, that accounts for what we're talking about of the cause and effect. Go ahead.
Okay, so now you can't. You've agreed. We have to go back because you jumped. Can you agree that we don't observe the cause, we only observe the effect? Do you agree?
I said that, yes.
Okay, so now when you're running an experiment, are you observing the effect or the cause?
The effect.
Okay, so then you didn't get the cause from an experiment, right?
I just explained to you how you do
Well,
that.
no,
Because
hold
one of
on.
the
No,
things-
don't tell me what to
Well,
explain.
you just
If
asked
you
me a
just
question.
hang
I'm gonna-
on,
you
hang
just
on.
asked me a question,
Stop.
and I'm
Calm
gonna give you
down,
an
Rumpus.
answer.
You know I
just asked
got
me a
you.
question.
Okay.
You just asked
Let
me a
him
question.
get
I'll
it
give you a
out
quick
because he knows
answer.
I got
It's a
him.
quick
I'll
answer.
just bring it
It's a
back.
quick answer. It's a quick answer.
Okay, do your quick
How
answer.
do you determine that that's the cause? And I just told you about 2 minutes ago that what you do is you try different situations that should be subject to the same theory and see if your predictions of your theory are matched by reality. And if they are, then you say, yes, that theory is correct. Go ahead.
Okay, but you just said the only thing we can observe is effects.
Yep.
Okay, so now if the only thing we can get new information, because an observation is the intake of new information. Now, if you're not intaking new information, you're just making something up, right?
I just told you, come up with a
Oh,
theory.
no,
and
no, no,
test it
no.
with
Don't tell
experiments.
me. Hang on. We got to start slow. If I didn't see it happen and I'm telling you, I'm making it up, right?
Give me that again. What?
Okay,
Are
so let's
theories
say
of
I never
causes,
saw a rock
are
fall, and I
theories
went, I think rocks fall at this rate. I would just be making it up, right? Because I wouldn't know.
Are theories of causes absolute?
Okay,
Rumpus?
hang on. I don't need help. Okay, so if we only can see things to get empirical answers, right? But we only see effects, then when you tell me about a cause, you're making it up.
But I just told you, you then tested it in
That you're making it up. Yes, you just told me you make up the cause because you only see effects.
Different
Thank you, Rumpus.
situations, then you can show that it's verified, validated, and correct.
But you just said the
But
only
you said
thing
you had
you
to
can observe.
assume
Hang on.
that
You
it would
just
work the
said the only
Don't
thing you can
assume it,
observe.
you test
Let me finish.
But then you
You said
understand
the
about what I
only
said,
thing.
Paige. You then go and test your theory in experiments and observations and see if your theory is valid. And if everything
And how do
accommodates
you test
itself
it?
to that theory, as I just told you with something like the orbit of the moon, you can say, I've got this idea about what gravity does, and then you can test it with objects in the atmosphere and dropping them next to you, and you can also test them on an astronomical scale. And if those things all agree, then you say, yes, I have a valid theory. And if you find that every single time you test these situations for which you have a prediction and they always agree with your theory, you say your theory is valid.
Now, what he's doing is he has observations.
Science
now,
works.
Hang on, don't interrupt. I didn't interrupt you. Come on. So we all see the observations. Now, he'll agree you can only see the effect. So the only thing you get new information from reality, which can be verified, is the effect. Because the only way you can verify something is to observe it in reality, which is the effect. Now, the cause you don't see. So we have to make it up. Now he's going to say, even though I don't see the cause and I'm making it up, I can then go back to effects and verify what I made up by looking at reality and then making something up. You can't have it both.
You're basically denying how science.
Hang on, I'm not done.
You're
Nearly
basically
there.
a science denier.
Nearly there. You
Okay.
can't only see the effects, and the only new information you get is effects, but then tell me you have empirical proof of cause. You don't.
What's the independent variable, Rumpus?
You don't seem to understand how
the independent
experiments
variable,
work.
Rumpus?
You don't seem
That's
to
why I'm
understand
asking him, how do you do that? What's the method you use to do that?
The most basic element of how science or proving anything exists, or that
So science proves things now, does it,
You
Rumpus?
seem to be denying how causation works. Basically,
Rumpus,
I mean, if you're in that position, you've got a problem.
2,500 scientists can drop a rock and write down on their clipboard the exact same, idea you're talking about. 9.8 meters per second squared. Okay. But there is no cause there. You're only seeing the effect. So when you're talking about it's been peer reviewed or science tested, whatever, where's the independent variable? How are you going to actually science the shit out of a rock
for
falling,
gravity,
right?
for gravity, there are three independent variables. There's the distance between the objects and the two masses. Those are your independent variables you can play with.
Independent. What does the word independent mean, Rumpus?
Let me help you out, Rob.
All right.
Let me have a go. Let me have a
Hang on.
quick stab at this.
Hang on. I want to hear what he says.
Okay, hold on.
They're not dependent on one another.
Hold on. Rumpus and Chemo, have you two spoken in a while, or is this...
I'm not saying that. I just want to have a quick stab at this. So, Rumpus, we've got the acceleration, right? You're looking at the acceleration. It's 9.8 meters per second, right?
Per second squared. You never did understand acceleration, did you?
That's the effect we've got.
We understood. I mean, for instance, in the last time I spoke to you, you didn't even know what the force, when F is equal to ma, you didn't even know what the A stood for and thought it was area. That's how little you know about this subject. But carry on anyway, you idiot.
So we've got a car which is going to accelerate. Okay. So what do we need for the car to accelerate?
A force, but you don't even understand what F is equal to ma.
Yeah. So we can now change the acceleration. We can change the acceleration, can't we, by changing the force? Yeah. So we get a different effect.
Yes. So you've learned that force is equal to ma now, have you? After the last embarrassing experience you had.
How are you varying the effect? How do you get a different effect with your cause? So you've just told me with a car we can change the acceleration by changing the force. Yeah.
Right.
So how do we this acceleration that's going on? How do you control it and change it?
By changing the force.
Yeah. So how do you change the? Yeah, exactly. How do you change the force and?
Well, if you're talking about a
increase the
car.
acceleration. No. With things falling to the earth.
Right. Okay. Well, you can. Well, you don't need to be able to change the cause. You can change the mass. I mean, if you're talking about the gravitational equation, which is G m1 m2 over
no one cares, Rumpus. Get on with it.
Be quiet, twat. That is your equation. So you can change the masses and you can change the distance.
Just going to shout out Doc Strangelove in the chat, who says that helium falls at 9.8 meters per second squared. Well done, Doc Strangelove.
So we can do it with a car. You
can change the
do it with a
forces
car by increasing the force or reducing the force.
You can change the forces between two objects by picking two masses. So, for instance, in the Cavendish experiment, you can change the masses that are in your experiment, and you get a different force.
So you can change the force. I'm on about a different acceleration. How do you get a different acceleration?
Well, in those three things, the point about that equation is it results in an acceleration of 9.8 meters per second. But you can actually change it. If you go higher up in the atmosphere and you drop something, it falls at a slower rate. So you can actually change the acceleration.
Okay, so you can slow it down and speed it up? You can control it that much?
Yeah. If you go higher up, it slows down. If you go
So
further down,
height is the cause, not gravity.
No, the formula I was just describing to you, F. If you, I don't suppose you know.
No, hold on, slow down.
Hold on, let me go. Hold on, I was in the middle of giving you a formula. The universal law of gravitation is that the force acting on an object is equal to the capital G, universal gravitational constant, times the two masses multiplied together divided by the distance between them squared. So therefore, you can vary the force between two objects by changing any one of those three variables you've got to play with.
Okay, so now that you've controlled the acceleration, can you control the direction? So can you change the direction with your force? So with a car, we can make a car go left, right, up, down by changing the force. Yeah.
Yes, I can. In the Cavendish experiment, I can change the position of the masses, and that will change the direction of the gravitational force. Yes.
Yeah. How will you change the direction with your force?
I just told you I can change the position of the masses, and that will change the direction of the force.
You would change the. Sorry, say it slow.
Oh my God! Look, if I put two balls next to one another, and if I move one of the balls in the Cavendish experiment to one side, it'll change the direction which the force is felt by one of the balls or both of the balls. My God!
So you're saying that you can control the direction?
Yes, by changing the position of the masses. Yes.
No, but that's not controlling the force, Robert.
Yes. It is. I can change the magnitude of the force by changing the size of the masses. I told you the formula is G times the mass 1 times mass 2 divided by r squared. I can change all three of those variables in that equation and therefore change the force between the masses.
Yeah, but that's not what you've done with the acceleration of the car. All you did was...
Well, so what? Who cares? We're talking about these... We're talking a different situation. You asked me how I can change the force between these things, and I can do so.
I didn't ask you the direction. I'm asking you about the acceleration and the direction.
I can change the acceleration because the formula I've just described, when you change the distance, the force will change. So if I make up something very high from the Earth, you're just talking about the acceleration. So for instance, if I change in the Cavendish experiment, if I change the masses in the Cavendish experiment, the acceleration of the masses will be different as well. But if you're just interested in just the Earth situation, I can change the distance between the masses. I can take a mass up to be very high, further away from the center of the Earth, and the acceleration will vary would become less. So I can control it.
You haven't controlled it.
God. I have.
So
I just
height
described
is your
how, you
cause.
twat. My God, you're
Yeah, you've
stupid.
discussed the theoretical side of how,
No,
but
it's practical. This has been tested experimentally. It's not theoretical at all.
well, where's your
Oh my
experiment
God.
show that you've controlled your independent variable?
The independent variables, as I'll say it for the third time, are the two masses, and in the cavity experiment, let's come with the cavity experiment where I've got complete control. I can change the two masses and I can change the distance between them, and therefore I can measure a different acceleration and I can measure a different force. Now, obviously, I can't change the mass of the Earth if you want to change that situation, but I can demonstrate the universal law of gravitation, and between masses I can control, and the force changes. And I can even in the Earth situation change the acceleration by moving myself further away from the center of the Earth, and therefore I change the force acting on me, and therefore I change the acceleration.
How far away from the Earth will it change the acceleration?
Any distance of change. If I just go up a mile, there's a very slight change in the acceleration due to the Earth's gravity.
So if I go up higher, it's not 9.8 meters.
Correct. Yes. My God.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know
No,
if you
you're
said.
stupid.
You're not
This.
proving you're not
I didn't know
proving
that,
gravity
Rumpus.
force.
What
You're just changing the
You
height.
are ignorant of science and you're stupid. So of
What's
course you
the
don't know it. You
what's the
thought
height?
that force equal to mass times ma meant A was an area. You're a moron. You don't know any science. You're a science denier, a reality denier, and a moron. So of
What's
course you
the
didn't know that.
what's the height that the acceleration changes?
It changes at every height, but it's very, very small. And as you go up a mile, it changes. We can measure this.
It changes at every height.
Yes, every height changes it very, very slightly, but of course it's difficult to measure. It only changes it by a very little amount, but if you go up far enough, we can measure it.
But you don't know by how much.
Well, in fact, even
So-
the acceleration. Hold on. Even the acceleration at ground level changes across the planet. So it's not
So
9.8. Hold
G is
on, let me finish my sentence.
so
A
G is
different.
not a
Be
constant.
quiet, twat. At
It's
different
not a
places on the.
constant.
Be quiet, moron. At different places on the surface of the Earth, there are different accelerations due to the fact there's different density in the Earth's surface, and the fact that it's a different distance away from the center of the Earth. These are measurable things with gravitometers, or gravimeters, I think they're called.
So G is
You're
not a
just ignorant.
constant.
Right, what do you want to say, Face One? What stupid point do you want to make?
So G is not a constant. So if I go higher
Little
up,
g. Little g. Do you understand there are two g's? There's big G, which is a constant, and little g, the acceleration due to gravity. One's called the universal gravitational constant, Newton's gravitational constant, big G, and there's a little g, which is the acceleration due to gravity,
Cool.
which is
So
only
if I were
valid.
to
Oh my God.
So you're
If
saying,
I were to-
Rumpus, if you go
if I were
higher,
to
the
test, if I were
acceleration
to test
changes.
either of those, if I were to test either of those, big G or little g, what variable would I have to change?
You want to do what exactly again?
If I were to try to
If you want to test little g, you can just simply take a gravimeter around the surface of the Earth. You don't even have to go up high, and you will find that varies very slightly. If you want to, capital G, the universal gravitational constant, doesn't change. But it's quite difficult to measure it because you have to do the equivalent of a Cavendish experiment, and then actually getting that to more than a few significant figures is actually quite troublesome.
So it hasn't been tested, or
Yes, it has been tested to the resolution the device is capable of testing it. You twat. So we can
what
measure
was
it to
what was
to
the
what
what
we
was
can
the
measure, and
theoretical
it's being
outcome? What was the
constant. God, you're a moron.
what was the theoretical mathematical outcome of that test? Wasn't it 1 in 50 millionth? Wasn't it something like that? Okay.
Right, you misunderstood. You've obviously picked up something Anthony Riley said when he misunderstood what Cavendish was saying. So you're just
Well,
repeating his
I
stupidity.
actually read Cavendish's.
Well, okay, you're stupid as well. Then you misunderstood what he was saying. Yeah, what Cavendish said was that the force of the attraction that he measures between the two masses is 1/50 millionth of the force exerted by the Earth, and that's because the Earth is 50 million times more massive than the other object in the Cavendish experiment. Jesus Christ!
How much?
No, that is not what he said.
How much power can you harness from this gravity? How fast can you make the object accelerate? What's the limit?
The maximum you can get is 9.81, around that.
You can't increase it.
No.
No, you can't make it faster.
Because I can't change the mass
1/50
of the
millionth of the Earth's mass would still be enormous.
So you're saying that we can't.
That's
make
not
the
what
car
Cavendish measured, though.
accelerate.
That's not what he said.
Sorry, hold on. F. Evangelist, what's your point about the 50 millionth again?
You're saying that the object in the Cavendish experiment was 1/50 millionth of the Earth's mass? That's horseshit. The 1/50 millionth of the Earth would still be enormous.
Well, he said that the force between the mass.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you
just
make
it up on the fly.
Here, let me read it. What he
Make
said.
it up on the fly. Just to.
Let me read what he said.
No, I heard what
Let me
you
read
said
what he said.
perfectly.
You don't even
Let me read what
understand
he
the
said.
first part of what you're
As
saying.
the force
what
with
you
which
said,
the balls
Rumpus,
are
you
attracted
asshole.
by these
You're
weights
a
is
moron.
excessively minute, not more than 1/50 millionth of their weight.
Right, so
Of their weight, the ball's
exactly.
weight.
Right, so as I said,
You said it was the Earth's weight just 2 minutes ago.
Oh my God, you misunderstood me. Here we go. I'll say it again.
No, I didn't.
Now listen, we'll try listening this time. He said that the force between the two masses is 1/50 millionth of their weight, which is the same thing as saying 1/50th of millionth of the force of the Earth pulling on that mass. My God, you're stupid. So let's just do that again. Let's make absolutely sure you've understood this. Cavendish said that the force between the two little masses that he had were 1/50 millionth of the force between the masses and the Earth. My God.
The force with which the balls are attracted by these weights is excessively minute, not more than 1/50 millionth of their weight, of the small
Which is
ball.
what I just said, you moron.
Do you know how much the small ball weighed? Do you know how big this force is? It's 1/3 of a grain of salt is what he measured.
Yes.
And you're basing your entire cosmological model on a measurement of a force that's equivalent to the weight of 1/3 of a grain of salt, and you're calling us stupid.
You are stupid.
You're a fucking moron,
You are a twat. You're
you
just
get
a
way too much
airtime. You've
airtime.
no idea what you're talking about.
You're a fucking idiot.
You're a moron. You're a moron.
You
I'll
just
explain to
dribble
you.
just
Listen,
falls
moron,
right
I'll
out of your
explain
mouth.
to you.
Word
The
salad,
Cavendish
24/7.
experiment has been repeated very accurately.
Who gives a fuck?
There is a sign. There is a somewhere in America. There is a sort of super Cavendish experiment where they've measured where the force is greater than the grain of salt.
Who cares?
So who cares? Yeah, okay, you're a science denier. Okay, you don't care about science. That's fine, Brandon. You just live in your
Oh, I'm a
science
science denier.
world.
Yeah.
Well,
Who the fuck is science?
You just said
Rumpus?
you don't care.
Are you
So you don't
science?
care
You
about
speak for
science.
science?
You don't care. They've measured it. They've
Huh?
proved it.
Are you the
validated and
representative here
verified it.
for science on Earth?
Everybody who's done a test on this has found the same value.
Show me
They
the definition
all
of
agree. And you're
what
saying
everything we
you
should
don't
believe
care.
in science.
You
And
don't
where did
care
they
about
name you the
science.
ambassador
You're
for Earth for science,
not
Rumpus?
caring about science. Do that. Carry on. You're a moron and ignorant.
You're a fucking asshole and an idiot,
Reality denier.
Rumpus.
You are science and reality denier. You can carry on doing that if you wish to.
And you talk fucking babble all day long.
Yeah,
it's
science,
like
I know
listening
you
to someone.
don't
It's like
science, do
listening to an autistic person
understand
talk
science.
about
You're a
Star
science
Wars
denier.
Extended
You just
Universe.
said you didn't care.
It's
that they were
nonsense.
conducting
You speak
experiments about
nonsense.
this,
You don't
and
know
that's
what you're
because
talking
you're a
about.
science
You
denier.
believe everything
You're
you
not
hear as
interested in
long as it
science.
comes out
You're
of a
not
scientist's
interested in
mouth.
reality.
You don't
just
question
want to go with
anything.
your delusion. You're not interested in evidence that contradicts you, whereas I am. I go with all the evidence that exists that's been verified.
No, you don't, Rumpus. No, you don't.
No, you're not. You just said
You can't even think outside of the model that's been handed to you. All you do is come here and repeat Wikipedia to us. The same thing. The government handed you a model and you said, thank you very much. I'll go tell the whole world about this and tell everybody that I'm 100% sure of everything you just said, Mr. Government. Thank you very much. That's you. You're a little drone.
There are numerous institutions around the world that are completely independent of
Who gives a fuck about your institutions? No one cares.
No one cares. Yeah, so you don't care about science. You don't care about the research that people are doing.
Institutions is not science, Rumpus. You're appealing to
That's where most
authority.
of the science is being conducted, you utter idiot. So you would dismiss all the work that's gone in universities.
Of course not. But you can't say,
You're
who gives a shit about the
all
institutions? Talk about the science, not the institutions. Shut the fuck up.
Just said it. You've just admitted it. You've just dismissed all the scientific institutions around the world. You can be dismissed as just denying science and denying reality.
That is a ridiculous conclusion to draw because you are a ridiculous little man.
You did. You just said, no, you're a little twat. Because you're so self-obsessed with your own personal delusion, you're ignoring all the evidence around you that we've gathered over hundreds of years. And you think your tiny little opinion...
Oh, good. Another internet psychologist.
All of the objective evidence that we've
That's
accumulated...
just what we need around here.
You're a conceited little ignorant twat who's obviously incredibly stupid and ignorant and denies science and reality. Carry on. Be a twat, be a moron, be ignorant, be stupid. Goodness gracious. Oh...
The thing is, Rumpus, when we do our science of things falling down, we control the independent variable completely. We control if things go up or if they go down, or if they don't go up or down. Because we're actually controlling the independent variable. You're not doing that with your gravity science that you think you have.
So what? Give me the formula that you have got for the acceleration.
I don't have formulas, Rumpus. I have
Rumpus,
science. I don't
Chris,
have formulas.
write the hand.
The language
Right
of
the hand
science
had
is mathematics.
Rumpus,
So
shush.
every
Right the hand had you on
cause
toast,
and effect,
and you
hold on,
know
hold
it.
on. I'll give you a second. Every cause and effect has to have a mathematical formula describing that cause and effect. That's why we have dependent variables. They're numbers. Numbers are related to one another by mathematical formulas. If you haven't got a mathematical formula for the relationship between your dependent and independent variables, you have no causation. You're an idiot.
This is not
Now,
okay. That was
right the
uncalled
hand
for. But that is
had you
incorrect.
on toast, Rumpus, and you know it.
You're
All you have with your you have an observation, and that's all you've got with a rock falling as he was describing. You've got an observation.
You're in denial of
Okay.
experimentation then. You just deny experiments and observations.
Okay,
Fine,
do you want to
go ahead.
just shush just for a minute? Let's not shout at each other. Just hang on. So you see the rock fall. Everybody sees the same rock fall. We all measure it the same. And then you create a mathematical equation to describe what you observe. It gets you gets you no closer to causation than anybody else.
Well, the thing is, we then
but
the thing is, Evangelist, we then come up with a predict what will happen in other situations, and then we
instead
test
of just
that.
talking incessantly.
I didn't interrupt
No,
you.
you didn't let me finish.
Well,
You didn't let me finish, you rude twat.
Okay, finish then, you twat. Go on, finish.
No, hang on, you were rude.
Okay,
I just pulled you up on it.
Yeah, go ahead and finish then.
Yeah,
I don't need your permission. Just
oh
shush.
my God, are you gonna waffle? Or are you gonna finish?
Yeah, just be quiet for a sec, Rumpus.
Your equation gets you no closer to causation.
You said
than Darwin, or Wright the Hand, or Einstein.
Okay, you made your point. Right, you've made your point.
Gets you no. Hang on.
You said that 4 times.
Right, Rumpus. Do you know how many times you start from scratch again? Do you know how many times you start from scratch, Rumpus? You would demand it. If somebody interrupts you, you start from the scratch again and you won't shut up.
No, but I allowed him to finish what he was saying 4 times.
Yeah, okay, so
he's made the very same
but
point 4 times.
when he starts again, which I'm sure he'll start from the beginning, please, can you just not interrupt him and let him finish?
Okay.
Right, go ahead.
We all see the rock fall. You come up. You said yourself in your own words. We come up with gravity, and then we write a formula. We experiment and blah 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 off with the moon, and we verify it accordingly. It doesn't prove causation. You can write all the equations in the world. It doesn't prove causation. Who knows what the causation is? You might write all the maths in the world. It doesn't give you causation. You have to admit that. Right now, you might think your equation works. Bully for you. If Right the Hand goes away and comes up with a mathematical equation that works for his concept, will you, and then somebody else verifies that equation, will you adopt that as the new position?
Apparently
Causation is what it is.
Ranty. Apparently you've turned my volume down. No one can hear me, apparently.
I can hear you very well.
I can hear you.
Well, apparently other people can't. Right, so anyway, so Van Evangelist made his point. Yes, he actually made a valid point. You cannot prove causation. And I've used this actually many, many times by just saying that what we see could all be down to invisible green pixies doing it. And that's why science can't prove things. It cannot prove. And this is why when Nathan and QE says it proves it from the experiment. It proves it. We've got this correlation. It does X, Y, Z. We see the relationship. It proves it. No, it doesn't. So, for instance, when Anthony Riley, he did an experiment, observation about the temperature of the moonlight. And then he thought he had a relationship. It turned out that it was to do with he then didn't allow for the fact that he was warming up something else with his torch. And so then he was able to show that, in fact, he got this wrong. So in his experiment, he got this correlation between the two, which looked like a causation. Therefore, he assumed he got that right. And then he turned out he admitted he got it wrong afterwards. Similarly, there could be any number of experiments that we do that could, in fact, be caused by invisible green pixies causing the thing. So that's why we say that science can't prove anything. But what we can say is that we have a theory that's never been disproved. So what you say is, I have a theory about the way gravity works, and then I test it in a million different ways. I test it against the moon, I test it against falling things, I test it on different planets. I then test it against all sorts of observations we make of the cosmos. And then if every single time our theory makes predictions that are matched by evidence, we say, this is the likely cause, this is the likely theory, but it's still provisional because it could be caused by invisible green fairies. But what we say is, this is the so far not disproved theory, and we go with it. And because it works, we're able to make computers and airliners and rockets and God knows what else. And we've never found an invalidation. Oh, no, nearly there. So if our theory has never been invalidated, we say this is the prevailing theory. It works. We'll stick with that. But it could all be down to invisible green pixies in actual fact. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So where you have the closest thing to science proving something is where you have a single variable, independent variable, a single one, which you can vary and manipulate, and you will get empirical results which can all but prove something. Understanding there could be pixies involved. What you don't have, what you do not have is a single independent variable. You want to attach it to distance, you want to attach it to the mass of the two objects, which is what makes your theory completely bunk.
Right, this is where you're stupid in your gross stupidity here. You're like Nathan and other flatties. You don't understand that an effect is almost always caused by multiple causes. And in an experiment, you hold the independent variables. It's like the gravity, we've got 3 variables. In the Cavendish experiment or something, you keep 2 of them constant, and then you just change one of the variables, which you make the independent variable in the experiment, and you keep the other variables controlled. And this is a fundamental thing that flatties have a problem with, that almost every single effect we ever see is the result of multiple causes. So you can't get in the situation you described where you only have one independent variable for an effect. Only in an experiment can you do that, where you hold the other variables, you make them controlled. And what's more, just like the green pixies, you did sort of hint, you did sort of understand what I was saying. We don't know that we can keep it down to one variable. We don't know there's not another variable involved. You might, for instance, in the gravity thing, we've got 3 variables. Now, it's just conceivable there's a 4th variable we don't know about. Just like in Riley's cold moonlight experiment, he didn't realize there was another variable called a confounding variable that was actually the cause of what was going on, not the moonlight. So we don't know there's not a 4th variable in that equation that I've just described. And of course, in Einstein's thing, there is a much more complicated equation for it. So there are actually more variables.
Okay, what's a confounding? Hold on.
I wasn't quite listening. Can you repeat what you just said, Rumpus?
Well, in the meantime, yeah, hold on. What's a confounding variable?
A confounding variable is one variable that affects multiple other variables. So what you can do is you can be not realizing there's one variable you're varying, and it's actually having effects on other variables that you think are independent, but in fact they're not. They're actually dependent on your confounding variable.
Okay, with relative density, we have that one independent variable.
No, you don't. Relative density does not have a direction. You can immediately invalidate that. It makes no predictions of any worthwhile. You can invalidate it straight away. So
I can predict if something will go up or down immediately.
Okay, right. So if I hold something in the air and then I release it, it's surrounded by air, all of the same density. Why does it go down, not up?
What did you release? It's more dense than the air. It's more dense than the air if it went down.
Yes, but there's the same air above it and below it. So why does it go down?
Because it's more dense than the air above, and it's more dense than the air below it.
So why doesn't it go up?
Because things that are more dense. Because things that are more dense than the medium that the Rumpus. It went down because things that are more dense than the medium they're in go down.
Right, but you then need some other explanation. Just saying density is not giving you that answer, is it?
Just if it was less dense.
Right, but there's less dense air above it as well. So why doesn't it go up?
Because it's more dense than the air above it. This is a
moron.
This is a silly point that you're making.
If you understood the vector, the density does not have a vector. It does not have a direction associated with it. Therefore, relative density cannot be in any way an explanation of why things fall down. Density does not have a direction.
let's jump back real quick. Right, the hand is talking about holding up a rock and dropping it, and we can get an equation from that, right? Acceleration, right?
No, that's not an
9.8 meters,
equation.
right?
That's not an equation.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just
I
a
know.
statement.
Just an acceleration, right? Just
Yeah.
a number, a value.
Yeah. That's not an equation.
So what if I drop that same rock through water?
Yeah, well, you've got a buoyancy effect then. I mean, the thing, I can give you the formula for buoyancy as well, and that's something
So
you need
it's not
to...
falling. So it does not fall as fast through a different medium.
Correct. So if you put it in a vacuum, it will always fall with the same velocity. But if I were to put it in, say, liquid mercury, then you would have a different effect. But we can explain that. And then what's more, the formulas for buoyancy include little g. If there was no gravity, hold on. If little g is 0, i.e. you were to go up in an aeroplane and drop, you would not see that relative movement at all. There would be no buoyancy effect if you were... Hold on, listen, this is important. This is important. If you were to go up in an aeroplane and you were to drop downwards, there would be no buoyancy effect. And so you can determine that buoyancy is indeed dependent on little g. If there's no little g, there are no buoyancy effects.
On your whiteboard, I get it. Yeah,
no,
I can
real
see
life.
you. Yeah. I can see you writing out all this stuff. Right? But in reality, Rumpus,
in reality, that's exactly what I described.
I don't need little g. I don't need little g.
You do if you want. Okay, in which case then, I want you to tell me. I want you to predict for me in a formula what the acceleration of an object will be surrounded by a different medium. Can you give me that formula? Because I can do it using little g.
You can write whatever you want, Rumpus.
I can tell you how quickly a balloon.
Your formula does not create.
If I put a balloon inside some water, I can tell you using.
I thought we were
hold
talking.
on, nearly there. I can give you the acceleration that balloon will have going upwards using little g. You will not be able to give me a formula that does the same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, your formula there that you write on your whiteboard. You know, and you draw a picture of a balloon and draw me down there and you calculate all this stuff about how everything works is not reality.
Yes, it is. It matches reality. We can test it. It matches
what's your
reality
independent
perfectly.
variable? What do you mean
matches
test it?
reality perfectly. If it didn't match reality, there would be an absolute revolution in science and you could be getting yourself a Nobel Prize.
Listen,
it's tested and tested and tested and tested again.
It's just
never
a
been,
theory.
Never been invalidated.
You told us over and over.
Rock
It's just
falling.
a
You don't
theory.
test the formula.
It's just a theory. That's right.
You do. You test the prediction the formula makes. You have a formula for what will happen.
Anything you observe. You're not testing anything. You're making an observation. That's not a test. That's making an observation.
Yeah, you're testing against your theory. You're saying,
no,
listen,
drop a rock.
No, listen, right hand. Listen, if you have a formula that says X will happen, and then you test, and then you set up that situation where the formula says X will happen, and it happens, you say your formula has been validated, at least for that one experiment. And then you conduct 1 million of those experiments in million different situations and see if the formula works in all the situations. That's a fundamental part of the way science works.
The formula, hang on. The formula comes after. You see the observation, then you make the formula.
And then you test how valid the formula is.
Stop. Slow down,
You
Rumpus.
test the formula then.
Slow down.
You then test the formula in different situations. You make it, you have predictive capability. You test its predictions. You test its predictions.
Let me respond.
Okay.
So all of the data, all of your formulas, they come after you make the observation. Now, the thing is, the observation is never going to change. So your formulas, of course, they match because they're based on what you saw. Hang on, nearly there. Okay. You would have to be retarded to observe something happening and then make a formula that didn't match.
Right. Here we go. And I've tried
retarded. So all you're doing, I'm almost there. This is the point. Here's the point.
Okay.
All you're doing is saying reality happens. It happens the same. And we've made some kind of math formula that we think matches. But that doesn't prove anything.
Okay, you didn't listen to what I said about... You didn't understand what I said. You didn't listen to it. I told you the key point about these theories is you make predictions for new situations that you have not...
Okay, let me address.
Listen, I haven't finished. And so you say, in a new situation that I have not previously observed, this will happen, and then you see if it does. And if it does, you say the formula is still valid. And if it doesn't happen the way the formula suggests, then you say, oh dear, I've got a crap formula. I'll throw it away and come up with a new one.
Okay. Would you agree with me if I said all of your formulas come from observations of reality and they are all double checked against reality?
No, they don't. Sometimes, like Einstein.
Okay, hang on. I just wanted a yes or no, and then
you get no. You don't. There is a more complicated
okay.
answer.
So where?
No. The answer is no.
Okay. So the answer is no. So let me answer my follow-up. I have a follow-up.
Einstein,
I have a follow-up. Rumpus,
without an observation.
Calm down, Rumpus.
You can make
I know. Let me ask my follow-up.
This is something else that people don't understand about scientific methods. You don't have to start off with an observation.
Okay, so let me ask my follow-up. Let me ask my follow-up question. Okay, let me ask. Calm down. You said you don't need to observe reality to get the formula. Now, can you get... Okay, so now when you don't observe reality and you come up with something, you're making it up, right?
And then you test it.
Okay, well, hang on. Okay, hang on. Let's go. You're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead. I want Rumpus.
And now I'd like to counterpoint. You've made a point, and I want to answer your point. You can't make 10 basic points. Let me make a point in return.
No, we're going slow.
You've made a point. I'd like to make a point in
return. No, I'm asking questions.
You've asked me several questions. You've asked me several questions, and you haven't allowed me to give a full answer. So, right, you said that if you start off with a prediction and you did not based on observations, you've just made up. But the point is, you then test that prediction, and that's what Einstein did. Hold on, nearly there. Einstein made a prediction without an observation to begin with about the space-time, and then later the predictions that he made were tested and found to be true. Go ahead.
Okay, so then maybe he made a lucky guess.
He didn't. Everything he's ever done is
Rumpus, you didn't. So here's Rumpus. Let me finish. Now, if I said when you roll a six-sided dice, you will get the numbers 3, 4, and then 2. And then you roll that six-sided dice and you get those numbers. Now, did I have any sort of like magical abilities? No, I made a lucky guess. Now, Einstein, when you're saying he thought that Pluto was there or Uranus and Venus or whatever, and then we looked at it was there. Okay, congratulations. He made a lucky guess. That doesn't mean whatever he believes in his head was the reason. He just made a guess.
If that was a case of guess was worthy of nothing, like saying I'm going to guess a 6 and it lands a 6, and therefore so it would be completely true to say I'm going to say that the next roll of the dice I've got this theory that the roll of the next dice will be 6. And let's suppose that happens. You say, oh,
that's a guess.
Good. Yeah, indeed.
Is that a guess?
Now, yes. So let's suppose that.
Okay, so Einstein made a guess.
Let me make my point.
Hold on. We agree. Einstein made a guess.
Let me make my point.
But no. I know you're not going to. He's not going.
Okay, well, enough of that for tonight. No, that's just the way that goes. Yeah, Rumpus is he's all right, Rumpus, but. He doesn't half get triggered very easily, and he shouts. Man, he does shout. Right, okay. Yeah, I'm going to wrap up tonight, guys. Back again tomorrow with another show. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just saying yes to the people in chat. So yeah, I'm following along with you guys. Right. Okay. So yeah, another 4-hour stream knocked out. Hope you all enjoyed it. Especially the bouncy balls that the landers apparently went to Mars upon. If you believe all that kind of stuff. Right, okay, listen, if you like the show and you want to support the show in any way, shape or form, may I recommend PayPal, because it's dead easy and I'm pretty skint, and if you really want to help out in any way, shape or form, that would be an awesome way to help out if you did want to support the show. So I'll put the link in, and then you guys can decide whether you want to support or not. But I would be very appreciative if you could head on over there. Thank you very much. Right, back tomorrow, guys. Look after one another, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.